TikTok, time to rock. Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're a couple minutes late. I want to point out that was all me. I was out and then got back and had to get the video clip ready and stuff like this. AP was completely on time. So church AP is just completely different from Dawkins drone AP, apparently.
Maybe.
Hey, right before we were live and I was setting up stuff, we were chatting about Muhammad Hijab finally responded to the Islamic dilemma. And everything he said is complete nonsense, and he is about, boy, this is about to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. This is about to be fun. So we're gonna release some videos on Monday. Chris from Speaker's Corner is gonna release a video. He's responding to one epic blunder. I'm responding to another epic blunder where, if you don't realize how serious this is, he's guilty of massive shirk and all kinds of stuff. Borderline in the apostate category after this video, trying to respond to the Islamic dilemma. So this is pretty funny. And then Tuesday, we'll be on Chris from Speaker's Corner. This will be earlier. This will be earlier in the day because they'll be UK guys. But Chris from Speaker's Corner is going to join us live to go through the entire video. And Giant DOC are going to join. They say Hijab has some basic Arabic grammar problems when he's going through this stuff. So this is going to be pretty humiliating. And all you Dawah guys, trust me, right now we want you to respond to the Islamic dilemma. Please respond to the Islamic dilemma. So we actually have a community of hundreds of people all studying it right now. And very soon you are not going to be able to respond to any of it without just getting swarmed. So this is your last chance to actually respond when someone might take you seriously, because 6 months from now, no one is going to take your responses seriously because everyone's going to be much better informed. But I don't know what his video's up to because I downloaded it like a day or two ago or something like that. But you said his I noticed his views were low too. But what'd you say they were?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know that that's what the video is about. I saw that he made a video response where he mentions Wes Huff, or where Wes Huff is on the thumbnail, and the video title is "Refuting the Best Christian Apologetic Argument Against Islam."
Now why is that good? Why should that be a golden video?
Because, well, two elements that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. One, it's Wes Huff, then the guy has been trending. Number two, it is the best Christian
so extreme
argument against Islam. Plus, it is also refuting the best Christian argument against Islam.
People love that. Dawah fans love that. And then fourth, it's Muhammad Hijab, who has over 1 million subscribers. So that should be a video that has hundreds of thousands of views right now. What'd you say it was up to?
It is at 64,000 views in 8 days. So it's kind of surprising to me. And the thumbnail is also easy proof the Quran is false, with an arrow posting at Wes Huff. It seems that people are not really interested in the stuff that he does here, and it is kind of funny. I see that this is part of a series that he started, Refuting Falsehood, and just 2 weeks ago he actually published something disgusting, which also has relatively low views. Which the title of the video is "Marmari Finishes Himself," and the thumbnail is "Bishop Hangs Himself," with a noose and Bishop Marmari on it.
Did you see what the video's about?
It's just about.
Is it him like making a mistake and something? I was like, thank them.
Yeah, it's him sitting down with his other goon here and responding to Marmari or his argument or something like that.
So that's just flat out clickbait. Like the guy ended his own life or something, and he's trying to get people to click on it. Ooh, they're getting Dawah's getting a little desperate. Hey, this is a bad Hijab. Trust me on this one, buddy. It's a bad year to be slipping like this and resorting to just clickbait. It's a bad year, buddy.
It's not even just clickbait, it's one thing to just
messed up. It's extremely messed up clickbait.
It's also like some really, really dark stuff here of posting a thumbnail of the guy and saying Bishop hangs himself, posting an actual noose with an arrow on him, sad and all that. It's like these guys are just they have no standards, man. No principle.
The worst. And I watched Hijab's video. Again, absolutely terrible. He is about to get completely humiliated But even in there, he's referring to himself as like the champ, the champ, the champ. And it's like Allah specifically says he does not love him who is proud or arrogant. And like all the Dawah guys are like the proudest, most arrogant people. Well, I can't say all. I can't say all. There are people who aren't like that, which actually brings us to the Dawah wars. So you've got the Dawah guys we pointed out in the past who are like obvious narcissists. That's your Muhammad Hijab. That's Ali Dawah. That's Sheikh Uthman. These guys are just complete narcissists. But you also have like Sajid and Farid and so on who aren't. And yep, it's always going to be an issue. The narcissists want attention. They want everything revolving around them. And those are the guys who are better at getting attention. Narcissists are just, they know how to get attention. And so if you're the regular Dawah guys and you're not like that, you're looking at these guys and going, oh my goodness, what is going on here? This is so embarrassing that this is taking off. But that's life. And we get to reap the rewards over here. Going to be fun stuff. So everyone, we're going to, when it comes to the Dawah wars, you could basically pick a day. You could pick any day ever for the past basically year and a half, but even going back further, but you know, in recent times, they're just constantly. So you can actually pick a day and go see what they're talking about, and they're at war with each other. They're at war with each other. And this time is Farid. Farid blasted Daniel Hakikachu, and I was like, oh, so Daniel lied about something because he was saying Daniel lied. But I watched it, and it's like insane lies, like completely insane lies. And it's a weird situation where I'm on Farid's side and going, that is seriously messed up, and he needs to be exposed for that stuff. So, yeah, we're going to go through Farid's latest video going through the lies of Daniel Hakikachu, and it's just this weird situation. We're going to be like, Farid's got a point. He's got a point here. This is some crazy messed up stuff. Wild. But then it's funny because given the insane conspiracies that Daniel's putting out there and that Farid's responding to, Daniel will probably watch us and be like, you see, Farid is clearly conspiring with David and AP to bring me down because of my powerful Dawah. He's trying to bring me down because it's all like he's working with the Jews and stuff like that. It's like it's awesome stuff, man. Oh boy, these guys can't get along, and they are not going to be able to get along at all very soon. It's going to be fun times. All right, let's take these first
fun times.
Fun times, son. We're going to take these first couple of super chats, and then we'll jump right into Farid's awesome video. Jack Ray says, TikTok, time to wait. Wait for what, man? We're here. David, what's taking so long? You sleeping again? No. I've given up on sleep. Momo was wrong. My cat walks on my Quran. No. I bet since Farid has a lot of books, and in this video you're going to see he has a cat. He has a cat. And this cat keeps jumping up on his stuff. So I'm sure that cat has walked all over all kinds of books. And
cat would never do that.
Yeah, and then he probably tortures the cat. You will never do this. You will never do this. Meow, meow, shut up.
You're sick.
Momo was wrong. My cat walks on my Quran. Now to read a real book. For God so loved the world, whoever believes will not perish but have eternal life. Yeah, that is better.
Powerfully.
I see David, AP, but where's Thor? I mean, Thaddeus. Thaddeus. Oh, boy. Yep, Thaddeus is, I'm hoping he sues the crap out of those people. Gonna hike at Mount Athos next week. So excited. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
From Yahya's Hot Lips.
It's pretty basic.
People have awesome channel links. Dawah Troll. Brought to you by Data's Lotion. Keep that stuff away from me, man. Please talk about the Epic City plans. We might have to look into that because I saw it when the first I heard about it was when I saw a video that was shared on Twitter, and it was by Yasser. The video is by Yasser Qadi, and he was advertising for his Epic City. And I was like, this sounds like you guys are making like full Sharia cities in Texas, man. That was crazy. But then I think the people were complaining to the government and stuff, and they were saying the government was going to do something. I don't know. So yeah, point is, apart from people commenting on it and then seeing that initial video. I haven't really been following the story, so we might want to do something about that. So please talk about the Epic City plans in North Texas by Tablighi Jamaat Group. They are creating this community in Texas to be Sharia compliant. Hey, you know what? We should move there. We should move there. And if they won't let us, move there, we'll say, this is apartheid. This is apartheid. And if they do let us, oppression. And if they do let us go there, we'll have anti-Dawah. We'll have anti-Dawah classes regularly. With Holy Week starting soon, allow me to ask, what's your favorite Jesus movie? Passion of the Christ, Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth, 1999, Christian Bale as Jesus and Mary, the mother of Jesus. I haven't actually watched a ton of Christian movies over the years, but Passion of the Christ was really well done. I'd like to see movies like that, like really well done.
I have only so far seen, so Passion of the Christ, I've seen it several times. I watched the old Jesus of Nazareth, and I have watched the show, The Chosen. And I must say that the old long Jesus of Nazareth movie is just superior in pretty much every single way. It's amazing. But the thing is, in the Passion of the Christ, the guy who plays Jesus does it very well. But of course, the issue is that the movie focuses on only one aspect of Jesus.
Yeah.
It only focuses on his suffering.
Would have been awesome if they like took that and like did a whole like series of movies like
yeah.
Jim Caviezel.
If he portrayed actually in the style of the Passion of the Christ, the life of Jesus in general, that would be very interesting.
That would be very, very dope and based. But you know what? Apple Packer, I'll Puff Daddy. I actually like awesome Christian movies like Mad Max Fury Road, which people don't think of as Christian, but when I see that, it's like, yeah, this is what happens when society breaks down. You're actually getting it right. It's not like you don't get utopia. You get pagan, weird cult leadership. That's what you get. That's what you get. And so I take movies like that as like, if you're right about what happens when society abandons Jesus and breaks down, I actually take those as kind of reverse Christian movies, but not reverse in the sense of being opposed to it, but just giving the other side. Here's my jizya, alhamdulillah, by Ezra. May peace be upon you. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, by Ezra. David, saw you posing with Alex in a suit, apparently smart, tall, and great skin. Ali Dawah's voice, and we're proud of that. Yeah, I put on a suit, and I was like, what if he shows up in like jeans or something like this, and I wear a suit? Sitting there walking around looking like a banker in there. Serious question arises. Do you perceive... Oh, yeah, guys, we'll be releasing those tomorrow. Those will be released 4 p.m. Eastern time. I will most likely be asleep during that time, but in theory, no, I will 100% be asleep during that time. But we're all scheduling our videos to release tomorrow at 4 p.m. A serious question arises. Do you perceive the potential for a civil war to erupt in England if the escalations of Islamic indoctrination actually transpire? You are definitely going to get a civil war in England. That's what I've been trying to avoid by warning people to deal with the problem when it's more manageable. But you're eventually going to have people just taking over entire cities. And eventually the regular British people who aren't trying to conquer the world and so on will realize we cannot let this continue for the safety of our children and grandchildren and stuff like this. Their backs will be against the wall. The government will be doing nothing, and it's not going to be pretty. But yep, it's indisputable.
I mean, I sure hope they have a civil war. It would be fun to see. Yep.
You heard it here, folks. Mimi hijab. It's noose, not noose. Get it right. Muslims are 5% of UK. I've seen 6.5. Muslims are 5% of the UK population, but have power. Why? It's very easy if your group gets is able to establish itself as an oppressed group, and you have leaders who will do anything not to be in the oppressor category. You just have to give them anything they want, and that's what's going on.
And they also have a sense of they actually, as a minority in a country like the UK, can rile each other up and push each other to support a certain a certain idea, and they have one representative, and then it's generally agreed that all Muslims should vote for that representative. Whereas the other parts of the population are very much busy fighting themselves over ridiculous, trivial things. So, yeah.
Fadi Ibrahim says, did I miss the memo? Black shirt with cross and beard. Yes, this is the official new dress code of the Screaming Goats podcast.
Yes.
So glad to be here with the great D Wood and the best accent on YouTube. Best accent on YouTube. AP, make sure the goats are well cooked.
We will.
We do. We're cooking the goats.
We will. You see.
Mrs. Ali Dawah said, yeah, listen, guys, found this early 7th century Arabian song online. Yeah, it'd be like, I kissed Dia and I liked it. I hope. I don't know the actual song. Is that supposed to be I kissed the girl and I liked it?
Yeah.
Who did that song? I've heard of the song and I've heard people say the words.
Katy Perry.
Okay. Have you heard it? Do you know how this is supposed to go? I kissed Dia and I liked it.
Yeah, I think it goes like, I kissed Dia and I liked it, or something like that. I don't know.
It continues. I hope Lil Aisha don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't know the song very well. I've heard it maybe once or twice. So.
This could be the start of one of your epic songs, JP. I kissed Dia and I like it. I hope Lil Aisha don't mind it. We'll get Muhammad on there. We'll get vocab on there dancing. Hey, David, a few of us went out tonight to speak after your event the other night. Oh, Hunter. Yeah, Hunter. I got to share the gospel with a Muslim named Muhammad. Just wanted you to know that many were encouraged on Thursday. Yeah, that's cool. There are places in the U.S. that are actually focused on learning about Islam, even in seminaries and so on. So it's really cool that people are paying attention. And then they got a bunch of young people like Hunter who are learning and then going out and using what they learn. And that, guys, that's it. That's all. You know, governments and police and agencies and so on, they have to deal with, violent threats and so on like that. But as far as dealing with the ideology, Islam is really, really weak. And if you learn some things, you can do some awesome things in this world. So everyone who's panicking about the future and Islam taking over and stuff, guys, pull out your books, watch some videos, learn some stuff, and engage, whether in person or online or however. AP, when will you follow through with your ultimate goal of taking over the Kaaba? Will you bring Mike Winger or Dawood with you to fulfill prophecy?
How often do I have to answer this question? Oh wait, that was about
Hagia Sophia.
Oh yeah, so Hagia Sophia I will take once I'm baptized. But the Kaaba, we still have to work on that. We still have to figure something out. I think I could start making plans for that as well, but shouldn't be long now.
Yeah, guys, don't ever let me become president because I will take the black stone and hold it ransom. And I will say, if you guys go 1 year without a terrorist attack, then I will remove the black stone from this bucket of pig intestines. But if you do, I'm going to leave it in there as long as there are ongoing attacks. I'm going to leave it in the vat of pig intestines, and it will be your fault. It will be 100% your fault because I'm giving you the ability to stop it. So you're going to have to take that up with Allah, not me.
Powerful.
Nice chair, D. Wood. Less books. Yeah, books are gay. How do you respond? There we go. Christopher says, how do you respond? Christopher, I'm going to give you a brief. I'm going to give you a little taste right now. But this is what my video response to hijab on Monday is going to be about. So you only got to wait 2 days, less than 2 days, because we'll post it probably around noon or something like that. 2 days, you will see. Well, keep in mind, there's way more that can be said about Surah 5, verse 48. I'm going to make a video responding to hijab, giving kind of the basics. But two things. One, if you read in context, and I agree with you, game over. It's one of only a couple verses, and that's one of their top 3 that they go to. And it actually, when they use the response that they give, they don't realize it yet, and they're about to realize it. This is what my hijab video is going to be about. They destroy their own position and commit shirk. So 548. What's up?
Interesting.
Yeah, so guys, they go to 548 because that entire section of 543 to 547 is probably the main passage we go to for the Islamic dilemma. 543, that's where Jews go to Muhammad to settle a dispute. And Allah's response is, why are they coming to you when they've got the Torah? It tells them they have to judge by the Torah. In other words, you don't need Muhammad. You've got the Torah. That only makes sense if the Torah is still the preserved authoritative word of Allah. He's saying you don't need Muhammad. If it was corrupted, you wouldn't need Muhammad. You wouldn't need Muhammad. And then a few verses later, that's when you get 547. Let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah hath revealed therein. It says if we don't, then we're rebellious. So you've got 543. Jews are supposed to judge by the Torah, not by the Quran. 547. Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel, not by the Quran. It's saying that each group has its own books, and you're supposed to judge by your own books. You get to 548, and it says that that you've got that Muhammad is sent with the book and so on, and it says that something is the muhaimin over something else. Muhaimin means its usual translations like guardian, but they do come up with all sorts of other translations to try and do away with the Islamic dilemma. And so Muhammad Hijab, he says it's guardian. He says it's guardian, so he grants that. But he says when it says guardian, that the Quran is the guardian over the previous scriptures. That guardian means you're correcting all the errors in it, and you're the authority over it, right? When it says you're a muhaimin, which was just means like something like guardian or safeguard or protector. If you read the passage in context, the way that the Quran is the guardian of the previous scriptures is that when Jews or Christians try to avoid what's in their scriptures, the Quran sends them back to it. It says, no, you're not getting away from your scriptures. You go to your scriptures. That's the sense in which the Quran is the guardian of the previous scriptures. But Hijab completely distorts it. And he says, when it says that the Quran is the guardian of the previous scriptures, it means that the Quran is the authority over them and corrects the errors in them and so on, right? So that's what he says. Now, why is this a problem? Why is this a problem? Because the standard Muslim interpretation, the most common Muslim interpretation, it says that Muhammad is sent with the book, and then it says, and this is the muhaimin over something else, right? Here's the thing. So the normal interpretation is that the muhaimin is the Quran. And then so what is it the muhaimin over? It's over the previous scriptures. However, here's the point. There's a minority Muslim position. And this goes back to people like Mujahid. Very, very important if you know who that is. This goes back to people like Mujahid, that you have Muhammad and the book, and that this is a guardian, right? Mujahid believed that Muhammad is the muhaimin. That it's not the Quran that's the muhaimin. It's not the Quran that's the guardian. It's Muhammad that is the guardian. And if Muhammad is the guardian, then what is he guarding? He's guarding the Quran. Get it? So again, I'll put this all on the screen so it will be easier to understand in my video. But the normal Muslim interpretation is the muhaimin is the Quran, the guardian. The guardian is the Quran. And what's it guarding? It's guarding the previous scriptures. That's the normal interpretation. And Muhammad Hijab says guardian means that it's correcting the errors in and it's the authority over. Okay. You have a minority Muslim position that says, no, Muhammad, the verse is saying Muhammad is the muhaimin over the Quran. What's that mean? If muhaimin means you're correcting the errors, that means Muhammad, according to the minority position, is correcting the errors in the Quran. That means that people like Mujahid believed that Muhammad is the authority over the Quran and he decides what to keep and what to reject. What does that mean? It means that Muhammad would be a higher authority than the speech of Allah. So Muhammad is a greater authority than Allah himself. What is that? That is shirk. Now, Hijab could say, well, that's not my position. That's not the point. The point is, if early Muslims thought that that was an acceptable position or even the true position, that means that according to Muhammad Hijab, they believed that Muhammad is a greater authority than the Quran and that Muhammad is correcting the errors and mistakes in the Quran, because he's an authority over them. He's a higher authority. And that would mean that at the very least, Muhammad Hijab is accusing people like Mujahid of being mushriks. That is some good stuff.
That is very base, man.
That is very base. So, yes, long story short, you'll get that response on Monday. And then once we're going through Surah 5 in the community, you'll get some more in-depth videos. Good stuff. And Jai and DOC have all sorts of commentaries on this, so going to be fun times. Oh my goodness, I was sitting there talking, and there's like 1 million super chats. All right, we'll go for a couple minutes with a couple more minutes with super chats, and then I will pause those, and so we can go to the video. Let's see, try and go rapid fire here. Glory to Jesus Christ. Beautiful Holy Week soon. Yep, these are good times. Fareed has a point here. LOL 2025 is definitely Fun. Yeah, Fareed has a point. It's funny. D Wood on the same side as Fareed. Passion of Christ. How about the Passion of D? Passion of the D. That'd be an awesome movie. Did you guys see the short where Sneeko and his boy Sonny Faz talking about the lack of bird poop near the Kaaba? It's basically airtight science, lol. Yes, it is. I didn't see that, though, but that's funny. AP, I know you irrationally hate Sharia, but why oppose paying jizya? It was just a 10% to protect the Ummah's jobs from unfair kafir competition.
This is a good point, and this just actually helps me change my mind. Now I want to pay jizya, and I also want to be subjugated by the Muslims.
Yep,
Come here, please subjugate us. Come on, do it.
Yeah. And by the way, everyone, when you hear Muslims say, "Oh, but it's such a tiny tax. It's only 2.5% or 5% or 10%," and so on. No, it varied. Muhammad charged the Jews of Khaybar 50% of their annual produce as jizya. So it would vary depending on who you are and so on. TikTok, lick the rock or hit the like button. What up, D Wood and AP? Loved your performance in the debate against Alex O'Connor. Really? That's good because
Thank you.
Yeah, again, discussion period was pretty rough, but yeah. Anyway, it was still fun. There's good stuff in there. Couldn't have gone better for you. No, it could have definitely gone better. You humiliated him. This is funny. This stream is good for me, but bad for the Ummah as an ex-Muslim follower of Jesus.
Nice.
Awesome. David Wood, please talk about persecution in India. They killed pastors and locking up pastors. Look up Praveen Pagadala, please. We need help. Yeah, guys, I was just waiting for more information. So the idea was I looked and he was riding somewhere on his motorcycle and then found dead and but it looked like his face had been stomped on and so on, and his motorcycle was just placed on top of him and so on. So yeah, I was just waiting for more information to come out, but yeah, we will be looking at that. The Vatican position, Nostra Aetate, Section 3, that declares Muslims worship the same God as we do, infuriates me. This is why Matt Fradd had to restrain himself during the Ismail Yusuf interview. Is that true?
It is true. Not just the Nostra Aetate, but also the church documents and teachings that it references and relies on, the catechism teachings and so on, basically teach that Muslims do not just claim to, but actually do worship the same God. And I did very briefly click on the video of Matt Fradd and his discussion with that ex-Muslim, and that did come up. And he was like, I want to say that Muslims do worship the same God, and I hope you're not very disgusted with me at this point. He was joking about it, but no. That did come up apparently. Would be worth looking into.
Yeah, how long was that interview? Is it like one of the 2-hour interviews? Is it like 30 minutes?
It's a long interview, but there are clips of it. Like those sections are clips.
You could pick out a couple clips and we could check it out. I'd be interested in that. Let's see. A Muslim I'm debating says some Bible verses have been added, but said verses are completely different from what he says they are. Yeah, always just tell them to give more information. Explain that. Explain what you mean. Explain what verses. Give your evidence and so on. Because it's just common to completely make things up. Good news, AP and D Wood. Mel Gibson's going to make a sequel to Passion of the Christ. Yeah, I've been hearing that for years. Focusing on the 50 days of Jesus from the resurrection to ascension. I'd like to see that, but I've been hearing about a sequel since shortly after the Passion of the Christ came out, like 20.
Well, unlike then, it's actually in the works right now. It is in development at this moment, and it's supposed to come out soon. I don't know. I mean, I'm not honestly very excited about it. I liked the first movie, but I also feel like I liked it more as an outsider who was only interested in Christianity. Mm-hmm. After I started, adopting Christian beliefs and ideas and practices and watched it again, I kind of feel like it is in many ways a very strange and kind of misleading portrayal of many things. An over dramatization and of like almost turning the story of Jesus and the characters surrounding him into some fantasy, the 300 movie or something like that. Which is why I would, for example, totally prefer the other Jesus of Nazareth movie over that like 1,000 times. But I don't know. Let's see how the other movie looks.
I have to say, Mel Gibson knows how to make some banging movies. I was watching what was that? The one where the one with the guy was a Seventh-day Adventist and refused to fight. I mean, refused to actually like fight. So he, gosh, my brain is fried, man. It's still fried. It had Andrew Garfield, the kid from Spider-Man, and Hacksaw Ridge. There we go. John Beaver said it. Thank you. Hacksaw Ridge. But it's a true story. It's a true story of this guy. He refused to. Did you ever see it?
No.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't know if you like war movies, but this was like insane. And had like he just was a pacifist. He was a pacifist, a Seventh-day Adventist pacifist. He agreed to go to war when he's drafted, but he refused to actually fight. So they ended up making a medic. Dude won the Congressional Medal of Honor as a medic just for he kept going and rescuing people and stuff and bringing them down a cliff, carrying them down a cliff, and he just kept going. He kept getting and he was messed up, man. He was messed up, but he just kept going back. Anyway, but the battle scenes, I'm looking at the battle scenes and I'm like, I can't even imagine how they filmed this level of special effects. It looks like you are in the middle of a battle, an actual battle with stuff going on around you. Anyway, crazy, apocalypto, dude makes some crazy movies. So I like Mel Gibson's movie making ability. AP, you agreed to a SC. What's an SC?
A super chat, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
You agreed to a super chat in your last stream that it would be based if all Christian denominations would unite as one. That could only happen under the papal banner of Rome, but you don't like Rome because you are gay. You see, this is why you all have to become Catholics if you want to unite under one banner.
I don't know. I still believe that things can work out in the future. There are great efforts right now to heal the schism and many levels and all that. So
it sucks because
it would be awesome to see that.
Yeah, you do have that push, but you also have forces that are inciting massive division right now. So
yes,
yeah,
including but not limited to Christian factions that are basically like, no, we shall not find any unity unless they agree perfectly to 100% with everything that we agree. It's like, that's not how Christianity was in the beginning. It's not how Christianity was throughout history. It's kind of weird to have such an expectation. And I don't know. I don't understand why some people just insist on saying, no, we have the one single truth and all others are wrong and evil. How dare we ever think of uniting? It would be much better to unite, even if you don't fully agree to everything, unless somebody engages in like outright, horribly unacceptable blasphemy,
Yeah, it's actually C.S. Lewis. I forget where C.S. Lewis brought up this point, but he brought up the point about people, would criticize someone and say, "Oh, but you believe everyone else is wrong," and he pointed out, "No, what you actually believe is that they're wrong about something." But you also believe that they're right about something. If you listed the things that we agree with someone else on, even someone from a completely different group, so Alex O'Connor, right? If you listed the things that if you were somehow to list everything we believe about the world and everything else, we would agree on a ton of stuff. We disagree on certain things, but we agree on a ton of stuff. If you're Christian of any variety, you agree with that person on significantly more. You're agreeing on a bunch of stuff, and you're disagreeing on some things, and those things can be important. But yeah, you agree on a ton of very important things about God and Jesus and the Bible and so on. So, point is, it's good to focus on sometimes just on things you agree with people on.
For example, the Council of Chalcedon, was a very, very significant one that led to an early split, where ever since the Oriental Orthodox Church split from the Chalcedonian Christians, who later on who were the Catholic Church and are now the Catholics and Orthodox and all the others, but they very much disagreed simply over one issue, which is the nature of Christ, which is whether Jesus has two natures in one person that are, fully divine and fully human, or whether it is only one nature that is united, both divine and human. And these two groups disagreed for over 1,000 years, for 1,500 years. Over the last decade, over the last century, they came together many, many times. The current state of things between the Eastern Orthodox and the Oriental Orthodox, for example, is that we don't actually have much of a disagreement. We basically just agree on the nature of Jesus. We both just have certain things that we emphasize because we want to prevent the other side from saying something wrong that could cause heresy. So, but they very much agree. Like the last meeting was basically them agreeing that they both believe the same thing, and that the disagreement is largely about semantics. They both believe in the two natures, united or however you want to call it. So right now they are actually in the process of somehow finding a solution to end the schism and to be in full communion with each other. But they were separate for 1,500 years.
Wouldn't it be like legend status if they figured something out after 1,500 years?
Yeah.
Nice. That'd be crazy. Hey, Daily Winger and Accessing Prostate. Sorry for asking if I already answered, but when can we expect to see the 2025 Islamic Dilemma videos? As I pointed out, me and Chris are posting videos this week, starting on Monday, responding to hijab. Chris has already posted his rundown of all of Surah 2. So he's got a video going through all of Surah 2. I will also be posting, unless something weird happens this week, I'm planning to post also a video going through all of Surah 2. Chris, the way Chris did it, I will do it a different way. We'll be covering a lot of the same stuff, but yes, and there's, I think, 3 videos I want to make about Surah 2. But yes, we'll be posting this week, and we'll be posting for the next several months until we covered everything. And Dawah's never going to recover. How do Muslims persist in smuggling firearms into heavily regulated England? Well, if you come over on a boat, you can kind of bring whatever you want. Yes. You've been humiliated. Yes, that's true. AP, yes. I heard the chain of narration that Ezra is pleased with your answer to my SC last time. This is the curse of Ezra upon Dawah. Ezra is becoming uppermost, you see. Just Jazeera tax must be enforced.
Good point.
It is funny if people just constantly start talking like about Ezra like that. Like, I mean, it's almost like that. It's almost like that dude, Pete Hegseth or whatever. He's got the kafir tattoo. Like they lose it. And even though their book is like kafir. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll call myself kafir. Oh my goodness, he's calling himself kafir. How could he do such a thing? What an Islamophobe. It's like weird, but it's weird like that. It's like the Quran and the Hadith are like, everyone's worshipped Ezra. And then it'd be funny if people start going around, Ezra. And they'd be like, stop making fun of us. Like, what? That's what your book says people are doing. Your book literally says that's what people are doing. You can't agree with the Quran. The Quran says you're a kafir. You say, okay, I'm a kafir. They go, no, how dare you? Quran says, oh, you guys you're obsessed with Ezra. And you say, Ezra. And they go, well, stop making fun of us. Isn't that weird? Does AP think there's a risk of Israel-Turkey having a war conflict over Turks trying to control air bases in Syria and have a defense? Huh? You think there's a...
There's always a risk, and Turkey hasn't been very, very nice. Erdogan has been very brutal with his language when it comes to Israel. He even openly threatened war. He openly threatened and said, just like we went into Syria one night, we might do the same thing to Israel. He openly said that. So the Turks, they can never behave. Their politicians
racist.
Have openly said, like the nationalist right-wing party has openly said that that basically they said Palestine belongs to us, Jerusalem is ours, we will protect it, and so on, and we will take it if we have to. They have they're usually very, very, very highly deluded people with megalomaniac ideas and ridiculous stances, and a horrible attempt at overcompensating for their otherwise lacking qualities by acting tough and acting like they are the boss of the region. While Turkey is like that, of course, it can always come to that. Let's just hope it doesn't.
Do you think? I think they want to keep doing stuff like NATO and keep up alliances with Europe and stuff, and that going down this road would sever that. So it's like, how much do you want to go down this road? Because it's going to destroy other things you want. You think they're going to do something?
Well, the thing is, Turkey is a NATO member, and Israel is not. Although Israel is a protected ally of NATO, because and America made it very, very clear that if an ally is attacked, they might basically disregard any international law and go in and do whatever it takes to protect their allies and their own people. Mm-hmm. But it would be very useful for a troublemaker like Turkey that doesn't belong in NATO to cause conflict just to isolate Israel somehow and to, unify hostility against them.
Yeah, see, because I could tell Erdogan is a serious problem and that he wants to go back to the glory days of the Ottoman Empire and stuff. But I assumed he was going to like kind of push right up to the line of what he can get away with and kind of be manipulating things behind the scenes, like, kind of like the Ayatollahs are doing. They're like getting other people to do lots of stuff. But as far as like outright war, that would be surprising to me. Like, actually.
Yeah, he's like Putin, except that that he doesn't have the balls to actually do something. Mm-hmm. He likes to talk a lot about his power, but he doesn't actually do anything.
He's a weakling.
And the thing is, he's also about to die. So things are going to change once he's dead. Not sure what's happening then.
Yeah. Jesus, your kingdom rules and reigns forever. This is true.
Amen.
Muhammad only married little girls with intact Muhammad. No, he didn't. He married all kinds. And there was others that he couldn't marry because they were dudes. AP's mustache is getting thinner and thinner to a degree I'm afraid he might invade Poland. Oh, yeah, it is. I didn't even notice.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Let's see. They call it a whiteboard because Momo is white. Ali Dawah calls it a wife board because lightly striking wives makes their skin green. Hide the proof. That's a good point. Hide the proof. Pro-Israel Zionist here, but concerned about recent incident with shooting of ambulances, rescue workers, and lying about it. Please take a look. I have seen that, and if it's what it looks like, that's extremely messed up. But the issues you have to be concerned with is that just couple of individuals who do it and not coming down from the government, or is it actually the government ordering that sort of thing? In other words, guys, every war you'll have soldiers doing messed up things and then trying to cover it up and saying, no, this is the situation and stuff. So yeah, you have to look. If it's actually the government ordering that sort of thing, or higher ups or something like that ordering that would be extremely messed up. If it's some guys, then yes, you need to deal with that and punish them appropriately and so on. But you wouldn't say, oh, therefore the entire government. I mean, you look. If you look at World War II, pick any country in World War II, you can find some people doing some extremely messed up stuff in various situations.
I mean, the latest news about the incident is that Israel actually admitted that there was wrongdoing and that there was a mistake. So it's Israel actually openly admitting in the end and saying that things didn't go as they should, and that an investigation will go into it. What Israel does is that an investigation upon mistakes or wrongdoings usually starts, and they actually go through with it and take drastic consequences. That said, the people in Israel are very much out of patience, I would say, especially since the last ceasefire, where during the ceasefire the so-called Palestinian side was doing disgusting things such as parading the dead babies and the dead children and the dead family members and playing victorious music while doing that, while returning their bodies, then actually placing a wrong body into into a coffin and delivering a wrong body to Israel and so on, bragging very much about the ceasefire, going around in the streets and saying the army of Muhammad will return to fight the Jews and to kill the Jews and so on. Don't expect, and we have seen numerous incidents of the so-called Palestinian side using ambulances, even a church. Like there was one prominent church, Orthodox church in Gaza, where the bishop admitted on TV that Hamas actually used the church premises to fire rockets at Israel because they know that Israel would have to fire back at some point and then damage the church, for example. With such people, it is very, very easy to be a I don't know what word to use here, but to be very, very jumpy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say jumpy, but a little bit jumpy,
Yeah.
if there is a better word for it, when responding to advancing Palestinian people, no matter if they're journalists, medical forces, regular people, or whatever it is. Considering also that Hamas never puts on military uniform when they fight, they put on civilian clothes.
Yeah, so in other words, if you had people waving a white flag running at you, that to you, one, that could be people running at you waving a white flag because they're surrendering or something like that, or because they're on your side or whatever. But it sounds exactly like what Hamas would do if they're trying to get close to you so they can. So that's the point. It's putting you in a situation where you just don't know people's intentions and so on. And like an ambulance or something like that, that's that. I don't know. I would expect exactly that sort of thing from Hamas. With that said, yeah, this looks bad. And AP's pointing out jumpy. You got two things. One, you got people who can be kind of nervous and jumpy. Because of that, you don't know. It's not a situation where you just look at someone in civilian clothes and say, oh, that's a civilian. It's always that could be a civilian or it could be Hamas pretending to be a civilian. You just don't know. Puts you in a state of uncertainty constantly. But there's also, in the military, there can also be people who are really ticked off and enlisted and they're looking for an opportunity to do something messed up, right? You're talking about human beings here. You're talking about human beings. You could have someone whose brother was killed on October 7th and stuff like this. And he's he wants revenge. And so, yep, those sort of things happen. But if you do something messed up, you got to deal with the consequences. We are witnessing in our lifetime the literal collapse of a worldwide cult via the internet and modern technology. Yes, we are. And it's going to be massively amped up in 2025. What does Daniel Pervertkachu say about how the Muhammad factors into the biological readiness of his child brides? That's what he'd be thinking. He'd be like, hey, Daniel, let's talk about the Muhammad. He'd be like, Hyman, financial blessings coming in Jesus' name. Yes. AP, have you read beginning? You know, it sucks because I want to get to the video, but there's super chat, and some of them are about like Hacksaw Ridge and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to get down to them, otherwise they won't make sense later. AP, have you read Beginning to Pray by Father Anthony Bloom? I honestly can't recommend it enough. It's short, insightful, and always a helpful reread.
If you can't recommend it, then why would I? No, just I haven't read it.
I can't. Yeah, it'd be funny if I stopped. I can't. I honestly can't recommend it. Oh, enough.
Yeah.
Oh wait, or if you just screwed up punctuation. I honestly can't recommend it. Enough.
I haven't read it, but I see it right here, and I might just order it. So, yeah.
Dope. Islam, the biggest. Trust me, bro. It is. I might steal that. That's everything. So Muhammad, how do we know that you were saved? Trust me, bro. I was in the cave with Dawah. See, I'm interested in throwing my hat in the ring with this Islam project, but in a different way.
I can't exactly explain what they did to me there, but
it started with some choking.
Revelations.
Started with choking, and he choked me unconscious, and then all these I was covered with things and verses. I'm thinking about a video on the Quranic view of Jesus or the quadrinity, Allah, Momo, Jesus, and Quran. Is this worthwhile? Stuff can always be worthwhile. All sorts of stuff.
Everything can be worthwhile.
And yes, the Quranic view of Jesus is always a good, worthwhile topic. In fact, that's the other thing, going through the entire Quran. I mean, I've been through the Quran before, but not like for this purpose and all this stuff. Matter of fact, multiple people that I've mentioned this to had the exact same reaction. Just reading through the Quran, focusing on Islamic dilemma verses. This is way stronger than we realize. I already thought it was an airtight argument. Now it's like significantly stronger than I thought. When you're focusing on everything, you realize it's like every few verses there's something confirming the earlier scriptures and so on. So crazy stuff. D. Wood, show your feet again, please. I want to count your toes. I have 10. Hey, you know what's funny? I remember this in prison. No, this was in jail. But we had, so we're in a dorm. It's like 30 guys in there in the dorm or something like this. And beside my bunk, I had one of the only open spots. In other words, I have a bunk against the wall and I was on the bottom bunk. And then there's a space right beside me. And then there's all the other bunks. And so people would play cards right there. And I had my foot, I have like one leg up and my foot resting on it. But I kept leaning closer and kind of closer. I wasn't paying attention, but I was leaning closer and closer to this guy who's sitting there playing cards. And all of a sudden, my foot was right by his face, and he goes like this. He goes, "Ah!" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I thought it was a hand." He goes, "I thought it was a hand." What the? Because some people have short toes, and long toes, and he thought it was a weird mutant hand coming in. But it was funny. It's always funny when you get like some hardened criminal freaking out because he sees a foot beside his head. But no, I will not be showing my feet, at least not until I get my OnlyFans channel. What?
Nothing.
Conscientious objector. Yes, that is what that was about. Yeah, this crazy thing happened last night. Yeah, this crazy thing happened last night. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. I'll be squatting over Ali D, feeding them grapes in it. What is this? What is this weird stuff? Mrs. Ali Dawah. It's also funny that Mrs. Ali Dawah has the same voice as Ali Dawah, but he can't say she doesn't because he won't let us hear her voice. So we'll just assume that her voice is exactly the same, and that's why he doesn't want her speaking. And we'll assume that the reason he married her is that he's such a narcissist. He would only marry someone who sounds exactly like him. That Orthodox priest Josiah from the Lila Rose interview has 10 kids.
What?
That's it. I'm becoming an Orthodox priest. AP, you got work to do as an Orthodox Kate Schumann.
I do.
D. Wood, I've been doing research on Jehovah's Witnesses' claims about Jesus being Archangel Michael. They use Daniel 12:1 to support this. Are you familiar? If so, how could I respond? The wrong one. I mean, I could say you seriously have to stretch the interpretation. Just says, Michael the Archangel is going to show up and stuff. So you'd have to seriously stretch some interpretations, but I would not be the one to address that. There are people who focus on cults and so on. Speaking of Hacksaw Ridge, Garfield said he did this. Matter of fact, this is what I said I wanted to get to, some comments about Hacksaw Ridge. Speaking of Hacksaw Ridge, Garfield said he didn't want any aid for the scenes of him carrying the soldiers because he wanted it to be realistic. But the first time he had to carry someone, he said, this ain't going to work. The real Desmond was a skinny guy. 100% he had God with him that day. Yeah, he saved a bunch of people, man. These are guys who are injured in battle, and it's in the middle of a bloodbath, and he just keeps going up. Even after everyone else had retreated, he would keep going up to rescue more people. And the other thing, apart from the awesome directing and action and special effects and so on, was just Andrew Garfield's acting, you see him in something else, but here you see him when he came down there and he's like in complete shock and he's freaking out about everything because he's had, guns bursting here and things blowing up around him for forever as he's saving person after person. It was extremely realistic. It looked real and the acting looked really, really awesome. Thank you, D1 and AP, for all that you do. You've both been a great part of my journey to rediscover my faith and rebuild my relationship with God.
Thank you.
You hear that, AP?
Appreciate that. Makes me very happy to hear.
You hear that? There's still more super chats. It's cool, but okay.
Well, I'll be on a journey.
Read one more. I'll read one more, and then we're going to check out. I'll read one more, and then we're going to check out the video, and then we'll come back to super chats later. Found some stupid videos that are basically just atheists flailing because AP converted. Do you know why some people can't just mind their own business? Hey, send us those. We might. I don't know what you're talking about, but send us those clips somewhere because I'd like to check them out.
I was actually thinking of reviewing a video tomorrow, although I thought I don't want to engage with that kind of stuff at this moment, but I was thinking maybe we could just do it in a nice way. I saw a video by some ex-Muslim guy who was talking about me being Christian, and he called it something like from one cult to another cult or something.
How did
like
the frying pan, out of one frying pan into another frying pan? Are you stupid?
So, I want to look at that and see and maybe analyze and maybe respond to it a little bit, because it's just, these are very, very strange things to do,
Yes. All right, guys. So there are more super chats. We'll get to those, but we want to check out Fareed responding to Daniel Hakikachu. Everyone ready? So just so everyone knows, there's a big context to this. These guys have been going back and forth for a while. It was Daniel and Jake blasting each other. Fareed looks like he sided with Jake. And then they started saying, like, Hakikachu's the biggest liar they've ever seen. And a bigger liar than, like, Christian apologists whom they don't like and so on. So it's like some harsh criticism, considering Daniel has been a popular, very popular Muslim for several years. But this all fits what I've been saying for a long time. Dawah guys do not last long. They're short timers, ladies and gentlemen. Dawah guys do not last long because they all come out with their new latest trick, and this will win them popularity for a while, and they humiliate the kuffar. But then the kuffar catch on to their tactics, and then their tactics don't work, and then they have to just, they can't debate anymore, and they have to start going and attacking other Muslims and so on. So that's and you see it over and over and over again. Oh, by the way, it's funny. I didn't realize it until someone pointed out, but I'm sitting there speaking at a seminary. I'm supposed to be giving an awesome presentation, and I don't remember what I was saying, but I broke into our Dawah voice, and I'm like, and so someone will say, "Well, why is this?" And I was like, "Oh crap! I'm supposed to be giving a serious presentation here," and I broke into the dumb Dawah voice. And then someone afterwards was like, "Oh, I thought it was cool when you broke into the Dawah voice." That's cool. All right, so all right, guys, here we go.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, I'm going to be dealing with the malicious lies and accusations by Daniel Hakikachu.
Hey, does anyone know why Fareed's always just like in a hat and a t-shirt or something like that? I mean, I've seen him where he's not, but like lots of Muslims, lots of Muslims think you have to be dressed in a certain way and so on. He's sitting here in a sailboat shirt. The heck? Dude, your sailboat shirt has a picture of a sailboat on it. Angels will not enter your house, dude.
I don't really know. To be honest, it's also it's not really like expected to completely always dress like a complete nut job from the 7th century Arabia, but it's basically considered. People consider it Sunnah, the tradition of Muhammad, to be followed. But it's not something you just always have to necessarily do. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems he's significantly more inclined to dress like a regular dude. And he's got the mustache, so that's not even that's not Sunnah, man. That's not Sunnah. You're supposed to be plucking that thing pretty regularly. So I don't even know. That's what I mean. I'm like, no, it's like serious. Like, I don't know why he's not following the thing about, plucking your mustache and stuff. Rami says,
maybe
David,
just lazy.
Yeah, maybe he's like,
I'll get to it someday.
Rami says, David Wood, me as Muslim, I'm a non-believer. For you, why are you mad about the term kuffar? Reciprocity. When did I say I'm mad about kuffar?
Why are you mad about this?
That's not.
What's wrong with you, man?
I don't know what you were listening to.
Why are you mad about it? Just explain why you're mad about people calling you kuffar.
Okay, fine. I'll explain it because it's humiliating me. No, Rami, I think when we're talking about kuffar, I think you missed the point completely. What we were saying is that the Quran over and over again, the kuffar, the kuffar, the kuffar, the kuffar, the kuffar. And then you have that Pete Hegseth or whatever. He gets a tattoo in Arabic, kafir, and you have organizations like CARE. Oh my goodness, how can he do this? This is an insult. And it's like, what are you talking about? Your book calls him a kafir over and over again. He says, fine, I'm a kafir. And then you lose your minds and say this is horribly disrespectful things. Like, wait, your book calls him that. Why is it disrespectful to say, okay, that's what I am? That's the point. I don't care if you call me a kafir. What the heck do I care? Huh? You think I care? You think D-Wood cares? You think I'm up at night? Oh my goodness, they called me a kafir. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I can't sleep anymore.
I do care, actually. When people call me kafir, I get very upset. And I usually have to, call somebody to get a little bit of help and mental support.
It's very traumatic. So, It's very traumatic. All right, so we don't understand why Fareed dresses like he's going to a baseball game all the time.
I never thought I'd be starting a video with those words.
Hang on, let's hear the words again. Let's hear the words again.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, I'm going to be dealing with the malicious lies and accusations by Daniel Haqiqatju.
Malicious
I
lies.
never thought I'd be starting a video with those words. In any case, before you ask me not to get involved in drama,
Why are you giving video material to the kuffar? Fareed?
are you saying that I do not have the right to defend myself?
It's exactly what we're saying. Sorry.
Yes.
What the heck? I just read this. Does he quote this? Because I missed it. I missed it because I watched this. I kind of watched this. I kind of watched this video. I was in an airport. So did he read this? Wait, what's that? That's messed up. Is this about Fareed? He calls him a dung smear. What the heck, man? I didn't catch this. This is he calls Fareed a dung smear. This is how you talk to a Muslim. So Daniel Haqiqatju said, this is how that dung smear justifies his attack on boycott of Israel. He implies that boycotting Israel is following the religion of Jews and Christians. Rabbi,
I think he's actually talking about, so he's saying Rabbi Faris. He's actually talking about this Imam Faris Hamadi.
Okay,
I
so
think he's talking about him. Yeah.
Okay. So he's talking about him. Oh, okay. And then Fareed comes in later. Rabbi Faris, you said?
Yeah.
Sure? Rabbi Faris.
He insultingly calls him rabbi because he accuses him of being a Jew.
So, guys, just to be clear, he's not talking about a Jew. He's talking about a Muslim.
Yeah.
But he calls him Rabbi Faris because that's just how you would insult someone. Rabbi Faris and his devoted lackeys, Jake and Fareed, need to be written off as the vile Zio agents they are. Jake Brancatella, Jake the Muslim metaphysician, and Fareed are Zio agents, along with Rabbi Faris. They're Zionist agents. Isn't that interesting? That's a pretty extreme accusation against some Dawah guys, isn't it? They're agents. They're agents of the Zionists. They're undercover agents of the Zionists. And so, what Fareed is saying here is, if you're going to complain about him, which people will, especially Daniel Haqiqatju fans, if you're going to complain, why are you responding to them and giving, D Wood and AP ammunition for their Dawah Wars live streams? He's saying, he's calling me a Zionist agent. Am I allowed to respond or not? Am I allowed to respond to this or not? Guess what? I'm with Fareed on this one. This is a situation where even if we're going to point to it and make fun of it or something like this and talk about Dawah Wars, you would still have to respond to stuff like this.
Are you saying that someone gets to call me a Zionist agent and I can't defend myself?
Yeah.
No one gets a free pass to call me a Zionist agent, especially now during a genocide. There will be Palestinians that are watching this.
Why are you a Zionist agent, Fareed? I'm just joking. To be clear, I do not believe Fareed is a Zionist agent, and I believe that Daniel saying something like that is extremely, extremely messed up and shows something about Daniel. And to be fair, in complete honesty, Fareed is entirely justified in responding to something like that.
Especially while there's a genocide. Especially then. There's no genocide.
Wait, where's the genocide? I didn't see that.
In Sudan.
Oh, yeah. And Nigeria. But it's,
Yeah.
it's Muslims.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
This video, and the accusation that I may be an enemy of the Palestinian people is an accusation I take very seriously. You have two main issues with this video, and I'm going to address them before I even start. So,
Hang on. I have to say, Fareed, so think. You're actually complaining. Serious point here, Fareed. You're actually complaining. Daniel Haqiqatju tries to rile people up by lying about you, right? He knows this is a very sensitive issue among Muslims and so on. So, hey, if I have someone who's criticizing me, you know what? I'll just say these guys are actually agents of the Zionists and stuff like that, because it's like the nastiest thing I can say. And you have a problem with that. So, Fareed, why wouldn't you also have a problem with Allah when he tries to justify attacking Jews, says,
Yes, this is because they worship Ezra and they call Ezra the son of God.
what did he do? What did Allah and Muhammad do? They did exactly what Daniel's doing to you. Like, exactly. I want to enrage people against these other people. Therefore, I'll just make something up about these other people to justify going after them. That's exactly what Daniel did to you. But why is it okay for, I mean, he's following, who's this pattern of conduct? Muhammad. Now, I think what you could say is, well, it's justified for Allah and Muhammad to lie about the Jews in order to get people to attack the Jews because they're not Muslims. But if you can't do it to a fellow Muslim, you can't lie about a fellow Muslim like that. But how would you defend that? Why not? I mean, if he views you as an enemy and so on, and you see what your pattern of conduct Muhammad did when he had enemies, I don't know. I'm detecting a bit of inconsistency here on your part.
The first issue is that you love Daniel and you say, hey, Daniel's done a lot of good for the Ummah, so I don't want to take sides in this. I don't want to watch this sort of thing. But listen, I agree with you. Daniel has done good for the Ummah. My favorite thing about Daniel is that he's unapologetic. That's given a lot of young Muslims the ability to be unapologetic as well. And I appreciate
Unapologetic about what primarily? AP, what is the
Marrying
main
children, having sexual intercourse with children. That's what he's unapologetic about. I am very happy that Daniel Hakikaju, our brother Daniel Hakikaju, is very unapologetic about having sexual intercourse with little children. Great, man.
Guys, that's it, right? You had all these guys for a long time. No, Muhammad didn't do that, or no, that was just for that time. Daniel just comes out. Of course, we can bang 4-year-olds. What? And you got Fareed here. He's doing great things for the Ummah, teaching Muslims not to be ashamed of their desire to bang little kids. What is this religion, man? What is this religion? Oh boy! And he has done really great things, teaching young Muslims that it's okay to defend pedophilia.
He has given lots of Muslim brothers the comfort to freely be attracted to and to have sexual intercourse with little children. And for that, we love him. For that, the Ummah is proud of him, and we all thank him.
But I cannot tolerate calling me a Zionist agent. If you're talking about banging kids, yes, we're all on the same side of that issue. But insulting me? Oh, how dare you? That's the end of everything. The perfectly functioning moral compass of Dawah-gandists.
that. However, again, that doesn't give him a free pass to make malicious lies and accusations against me.
Just because you're the world's leading defender of banging little kids doesn't give you the right to insult me. Dude, hey, Fareed, I don't know if it's clear what we're saying right now. Here's the thing. If you took a person and this person could, A, promote sex with children to tons of people around the world, or B, insult me, and you said he's got to do one of these things, pick one. I would say insult me all freaking day, but do not promote sex with kids. I don't care if you insult me. I really care if you are talking about sex with children. Insult me all you want. Go do your worst. I don't care. But do not promote sex with children. Somehow Islam reverses that, and promoting sex with children is the greatest thing you can do, but insulting you personally, that's where you draw the line at. That's interesting religion you've got there.
Now, whatever, man. Okay. Anyway, continue.
A Muslim has the right to defend themselves against such things. The second issue is that you're thinking, oh, but now when we have these back and forths between Muslim du'at, the kuffar, they're going to be laughing at us. And I reassure you guys,
that's true.
that no matter.
Oh, whoo. Oh boy, you got that one right, Fareed. Oh boy, you definitely got that one right. Every time I think that everything Fareed says is factually incorrect, he says something absolutely correct and brilliant. So here we go. So he was right. He was right. He's a prophet. You're a prophet, Fareed, a greater prophet than Muhammad, because you got more things right than he did. I backed it up a little so we could hear that awesome part again.
Defend themselves against such things. The second issue is that you're thinking, oh, but now when we have these back and forths between Muslim du'at, the kuffar, they're going to be laughing at us. And I reassure you guys that no matter how bad it gets between me and Daniel, we're never going to be as entertaining as some of the Christian apologists that have been going back and forth with each other, like Sam Shamoun and CP, when they beef.
That's true. You'll never be as entertaining because other people are just funnier than you guys. You're not a big sense of humor in Islam. So yeah, other people are funnier than you.
That's ironic that a Muslim, I'm defending Islam now because of this wicked fool of Satan, this filthy lowlife agent of Satan, agent of Mossad. I now have to defend Islam.
Wait, he just called Christian Prince an agent of Mossad. That's exactly what Daniel was doing. That's exactly what Daniel did to Fareed. He said you're a Zionist agent, and then
it's kind of funny that Sam Shamoun and Daniel Kikuchi go into the same direction when they want to accuse somebody of something.
And probably that's why Fareed picked this clip to be like, hey, look, it's the exact same accusation there.
He's defending
with the
Talmud
here,
because
so Sam is saying because Christian Prince is defending the Talmud, so. That's what we're talking
and with a difference here, which is that Sam Shamoun is not actually openly anti-Semitic. He doesn't hate Jews, whereas Daniel Kikuchi is.
He's in love with Netanyahu, who was in love with his mother.
And to make it more funny, I mean, look at the title. I mean, look at the thumbnail he did to himself.
Fareed is right. Fareed is right. This is funny stuff.
I mean,
sad,
this is somebody would insult you.
Sad because these two are legends when they're blasting away at Islam, absolute legends. But here's the thing, and I pointed out before, and this is what I was talking about with like the Daily Wire and personality types and stuff. Like why I didn't think I was impressed that the Daily Wire was able to last as long as it did. Because I've seen this, and I've seen this in like the counter jihad community, the people who focus on exposing and criticizing jihad. You'll see two of them work together for a while, and then like 2 years later, they won't work together. And it will turn out they had a disagreement over something, and they couldn't work together. It's a personality type thing. The people who like aggressively respond to stuff that's threatening them with death and so on are people who don't back down from things. Like they're ready to dial up. They're ready to dial up as much as they need to deal with whatever's coming at them. But guess what? If you get multiple people like that together, it's not going to last because they will eventually disagree on something and neither one of them is going to back down. And they'll end up, and they both have the personality where you go to war over this. I have that personality. I'm kind of aware of it. So I try to, it's funny because I actually think of it like philosophically, it's in Plato's Republic. And there's a part where they want to make like the best soldiers in the world. And so they're coming up with a plan for how do we have the soldiers who are the most just brutal soldiers in the world, the greatest soldiers who ever lived. And it's like, how do you raise these people to become the best fighters, the best soldiers in every way and so on, without them eventually just taking over? Because they want soldiers who are like super aggressive, completely fearless and so on. And you're going to condition them their entire lives to be the ultimate soldiers. So they're saying, hey, you've got an aggressive army. What could possibly keep these guys from just saying, you know what, let's take everything, let's take over? How do you do that? And so Socrates is saying, on the one hand, we want people who are extremely loving and gentle to their own people, but extremely aggressive and hostile towards the opposition. How do we have extremely gentle nature and friendly combined with just brutal warriors and fighters who love conquering and so on? How do you have those together? And they almost give up. I mean, Socrates at that point almost gives up. And then he realizes, wait, those two natures can go together. And I know those two natures, on the one hand, being gentle towards your own people, but being really aggressive towards people who are a threat to you, they can go together. And he gives the example of a dog. He says you'll have a dog that you can trust to be completely, to lay down its life for a child in your family or something like that. But anytime someone else is coming, it gets really aggressive and so on. So anyway, that's kind of what you have to do. You have to say, okay, when I have a disagreement, I dial things up, I get really aggressive, I go after it. And that's what you want to do with Islam. You have to find out a way to say, but I don't get like that around other people who are on my side. Because what happens is, again, you're seeing it with the Daily Wire. You get a bunch of people who have aggressive personalities, don't back down. They work together for a while. It eventually backs down. Why? Because you'll have something come up like Israel or something like that, and they will not get along. And then no one knows how to back down off an issue. And so they split up. They split up and start attacking each other. But anyway, so that's human nature, guys.
Evil.
Oh.
He put himself Dr. Evil. I mean, do you see how stupid he is? Why you are making the thumbnail that you are Dr. Evil?
It's funny because he's calling him stupid.
That's a terrible argument.
Neither one of these guys is stupid, ladies and gentlemen. You can say anything else about it. They're not stupid.
By the way, for some more funny clips
What's up?
Nothing.
First.
Between Sam and CP, then I would recommend watching these two compilations that I've previously uploaded. So in this video, I'm going to be providing some, not all, but some of the main accusations by Daniel Haqiqa Jew against me, and I'm going to be defending myself against the slander. And whoa, you will not believe how low this individual goes in order to make others look bad. You will be shocked by what you are about to see. And yeah, I also understand that some of you guys really appreciate his political takes, and some of you guys really, really hate Salafis. But hey, is that a justification for you to support someone's slanders against someone else?
That's actually a good, important point, guys. There is this tendency to, I hate this group, therefore anything goes against that group. It's okay to make things up and lie about that group because I hate them. What's that?
His political takes.
Yeah, of course, you can love his political takes, and you can love him for attacking Salafis. But does that justify? And I have to say, I've seen the back and forth where they're calling each other liars and stuff like that. But until I watched this video yesterday, I didn't know how bad it was. So I'm usually not paying attention to it. But this is extremely messed up stuff. Extremely messed up.
So lie number one, Haqiqa Jew claims that there's this multinational psychological operation against him and that I'm linked to it. And lie number two is that I'm linked to Unit 8200, which is an Israeli intelligence unit.
He even gives a specific unit that Fareed is linked to. Oh boy.
This is the funny thing. It's actually, this is a very, very interesting thing that Fareed does here, that Fareed addresses, because this is a very common thing that some of the conspiracy-minded people like to go to, where they start engaging in these insane conspiracy theories about random, regular things, right? Where they, if somebody opposes them or if somebody goes a path that they don't like, they think that there must be a conspiracy going on, that there must be something greater behind the scenes going on, that this person must be controlled by greater evil powers that I don't have any control over, but I know that those powers are real, and so on. This is something that people in all kinds of different circles frequently do. But Daniel Haqiqa is a great example of somebody who is very, very paranoid and conspiracy minded, who really thinks everything is a conspiracy. And he even accuses his fellow Muslim apologists of actually being part of an evil anti-Islamic conspiracy led by who? The Jews, of course.
And so anyone who disagrees with him and so on must be part of the Jewish conspiracy. Back all right. So here we have Daniel Haqiqa Jew. I thought he was just going through tweets for some reason, but he's got a video.
And line number two is that I'm linked to Unit 8200, which is an Israeli intelligence.
I'm not encouraging anyone to do this, but for some reason, I'm always reading what annoys people. So if you want to know what annoys Fareed, just pretend to be an agent of, what is it? Unit what? 828?
Multinational psychological operation against him, and that I'm linked to it. And line number 2 is that I'm linked to Unit 8200, which is an...
Well, as someone who's also linked to Unit 8200, I can confirm that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't think that we have any connection to Fareed. I've never heard of anything like that. So
Yeah. Hang on. Yes, we covered up for Fareed's. Yeah, we covered up for Fareed's work in our group. All right, we're good. Anyway, just ignore that, everyone. Let's go.
okay.
Israeli intelligence unit.
People who are attacking me are in the Abrahamic Accord countries. Did you make that connection yet?
Mm-hmm.
Like that bloated postman, he's in Morocco.
That's Jake. That's Jake. That's Jake, right? Because Jake's in Morocco. He just called Jake the bloated postman. And then he's got this big smile on his face. Hang on.
Bloated postman. I don't know why he's calling other people bloated.
Yeah, I know.
People who are attacking me are in the
No idea, man.
Abrahamic Accord countries. Did you make that connection yet?
To be fair, if you said Moroccans got some delicious food, if I were in Morocco, I'd probably gain some, put on some pounds too.
Like that bloated postman, he's in Morocco. He lives in Morocco. Then you have this other clown, Fareed. He's in Bahrain. Also a huge concern about my Aqidah coming from Bahrain, another Abraham Accord country.
Guys, do you realize this is like, I mean, if he wants to be a good manipulator, you should dial it back a little bit, not make it so easy to expose. But I mean, think about this, guys. The people who are responding to me, the people who are calling out my views, one from Bahrain and the other is from Morocco. These are countries in the Abraham Accords. What does this mean? It means that they are mere puppets and pawns of...
Anything about me, anything about Muslim skeptic, we don't have the right Aqidah. Just understand it for what it is. This is just a psyop from Unit 8200 and the electronic flies straight from Riyadh or Dubai.
Wow.
Everyone get it? It's a psyop. Fareed and Jake are assets for this unit. And so you have the Abraham Accords, and then people are in charge of the Abraham Accords and that whole agenda, and they've got their agents, Fareed and Jake, who are tasked with going after the real hero who could end the Abraham Accords and bring back child marriage, Daniel Hakikachu. And so the Abraham Accords are all worried. Oh no, Daniel's powerful Dawah is going to bring back child marriage, and then everyone's going to be banging little kids. We need to send in our secret agents who also support child marriage. But they must destroy Daniel. Hello, Fareed, yes, you must take out this guy. Okay.
And increasingly now Morocco and Bahrain.
And here, line number 3 is Haqiqaju explicitly referring to me as a Zionist agent. Of course, this is a disgusting lie. For anyone that goes through my account will notice that I've been refuting Israeli propaganda.
Hold up. Let's go ahead and read these. Dang it. Let's see you read them.
Morocco and Bahrain.
And here, line number 3
read that
is
already.
Haqiqaju explicitly referring to me as a Zionist agent. Of course, this is a disgusting lie. For anyone that goes through my...
Okay, so Fareed's posting his own... This is actually funny. He's having to bring the receipts to show that he's not working for Zionists. Fareed, dude, you failed. Why? Because if you're actually working for Israel to achieve Israel's goals in the Muslim community, what would Israel tell you to do? Pretend to be against us. You're doing exactly what they would tell you to do. They would tell you, yeah, blast away at us, but here's where we need you to steer the Ummah. To be clear, Fareed, I do not think that you're a Zionist operative or anything like that. I'm saying if you're talking
if you were, we would know. We would know. So.
Yeah, I'm saying if this is meant to respond to someone who thinks that you're part of this conspiracy working for the Zionists, saying, oh, but I criticize the Zion, that's not helping them, right? That's exactly what they would expect you to do as a Zionist agent. That's the point. So basically, you've changed zero minds here by this defense. People who didn't think you're a Zionist agent, you haven't changed their mind. People who did think you were a Zionist agent, this is exactly what they would expect you to say and do. If you're a Zionist agent.
Keep in mind, Fareed, we know what we're talking about.
We know exactly what we're talking about. So this is Fareed responding to Netanyahu and the IDF. And Fareed says, the IDF claims that hospital destruction was due to an unintentional misfiring. Netanyahu claims that it was intentional. Wait, wasn't that actually a misfire?
That was actually a misfire by the by the
jihadis. Fired
by the jihadis themselves. Yeah.
Okay, Fareed, you're not helping yourself right now. You're bringing up something from 2023 that you were exposed on eventually. So, yeah, that was a misfire, Fareed. So I guess we can say your tweet is a big misfire as well.
Account will notice that I've been refuting Israel.
Testimonies about Al-Ahli hospital attack. Oh, okay, so he's actually...
No, this was a Zionist. See what they've done.
Nice try, Fareed. Fareed, you're not helping yourself by bringing up something that was later exposed.
Israeli propaganda on Twitter. He even makes this claim against Jake.
Wait, let's see. Was that something else? Where is it? There we go. Many people ask, what can I do for the Palestinians? You can affect others by educating them about plight and situation of Palestinians. The people of Gaza are on the brink of genocide. Wait, on the brink? I thought it was a genocide. Come on. And only a minority sympathize with them more. This is where we are at. Start now. Fareed, you seem exactly like a Zionist agent who's sent to make the anti-Semites look as stupid as possible.
Yes. I've never seen a bigger...
He even makes this claim against...
He even makes this claim, Islam, Judaism, and Zionism. Jake Bronkatell and Daniel Haqiqatu.
Jake, who he has cooperated with against Zionism in the past. The reality is that Daniel doesn't believe this, and nobody believes this. But Daniel has this habit of lying about people, hoping that some folks are going to be supportive of him. And, of course, you'll notice that, yes, there are a lot of people that are supportive of him no matter what he says, especially when he's speaking about people that are hated or people that are from an opposing sect or from an opposing religion. If he makes the claim that Sam Shamoun or Christian Prince are homosexuals or necrophiles or whatever, you're going to have Muslims...
Is he talking about his prophet?
Yeah.
Homosexuals and necrophiles. I mean, that's like Muhammad in a nutshell. Just toss in pedophile and you've got... Just toss in pedophile and covered in semen, you've got perfect description of Muhammad. Anyway,
supporting him. If he makes any of those accusations against me, you're going to have some Shias supporting him, because I've been someone who's been very vocal in refuting Shiism in the past and in the present, alhamdulillah. But that's just the game that he plays. So don't expect evidence for his slander. Line number 4. Haqiqatu claims that I work with Faris.
As I explained on my last show, the whole goal of the network is to get my followers to abandon me because I'm too vocal in calling out Saudi and UAE normalizing with Israel. Rabbi Faris is working closely with Jake and Fareed to coordinate this. Coordinate what? Getting Haqiqatu's followers to abandon him. So, okay, we're getting more information on the conspiracy. So, according to Daniel Haqiqatu, Rabbi Faris is working with Jake Bronkatella and Fareed of Fareed Responds
to stop the powerful work of Daniel Hakikachu.
You said Rabbi Farisi.
Yeah. And calling out Saudi and UAE normalizing with Israel. So, yeah, Israel's panicking over the powerful criticisms of Daniel Hakikachu. AP. Be honest. If you were the IDF, Mossad, anyone, and so on, if you were let's say you're Mossad, and you want an undercover Muslim agent to help you, right? To cause some problems for the opposition. Would you want A, Fareed and Jake on your side to cause division in the Ummah? Or would you want one of your biggest critics to also be the world's leading defender of child marriage so that no one ever takes him seriously and everyone thinks, whoa, this is what Israel's up against? A bunch of guys defending pedophilia? Okay. Who would you actually want on your side?
I would most definitely pick Daniel Kikichu, because I know that guy is going to cause problems in the long run for the Islamist anti-Zionist narrative. So I would pick him. In fact, when I went to Israel, which happened after I had the debate with Daniel Kikichu, I was told there that by several people who had like very close relationships with the government, that they really appreciated how I handled the debate, and they were very happy with it, and all that. They weren't very happy with Daniel Kikichu's performance.
And so what you would say is that obviously they told Daniel, build up a following for a while, start defending child marriage like crazy so that anyone who's not, worshiping you will think you're a complete lunatic, and then just start blasting away at Israel, and then debate the Apostate Prophet and do embarrassingly terrible and get completely humiliated. And that will completely discredit your the entire position.
Powerful.
The point here, Daniel, is if you wanted to say that Zionists are sending in Muslim agents to cause problems in the Ummah and to make things look bad and so on, you'd be a way better candidate. Because everything you touch turns to garbage, man. Everything you touch is tainted by you defending touching little kids.
Well,
Hamadi. This, of course, is another lie. Me and Faris don't even follow each other and have recently been publicly refuting one another. In fact,
Hey, he called him Faris. You say Faris. He just called him Faris. Who am I supposed to believe?
Faris is right.
Okay.
Faris actually warns people from taking knowledge from me.
فريد البحريني.
This guy looks funny for some reason. He looks like happy, like, hey.
هذا والله تعالى أعلم. He's like the same as Abu Taymiyyah. Yeah, same. Wishwashi. Tamiya هذا I don't like.
Oh, he doesn't like, sounds like he doesn't like Salafis. Because he's messing with, yeah, all right. Hang on, let's see. Now, it should be very obvious why Jake and Fareed staunchly refuse to debate me or even have a polite conversation with me. Not only because they know they can't defend their religious positions, but also because they know I will push them in a way that reveals their connections to anti-Muslim UAE programs and Rabbi Faris. They know this would end their careers.
My number 5. Haqiqatu claims that I have connections to anti-Muslim UAE programs. Daniel, you've known me for years. You used to share my videos refuting kuffar for years.
Until he found out that you're a Zionist operative.
Instead of refuting me in my video, you're resorting to claiming that I'm a part of an anti-Muslim program now? Wallahi, this is pathetic. And Daniel,
He said, "Wallah."
remember when people were accusing
So Fareed said, Daniel is not Shia. Shamsi is not pro-Israel. This is Shamsi from Speaker's Corner who got the crap beat out of him for saying that you can interact with Israel, not just be constantly at war. When you hate someone, you want to believe every claim made against them. But Islam teaches us to be fair with opponents, like the Jews. That's why we'll say that they worship Ezra, because we're fair with them. This is it. You can't say it, Fareed. Also, a random Muslim's slander doesn't gain more weight just because he wrote it in an Israeli blog.
You of being a Rafidi, I defended you. And I'm saying this right here publicly, despite Haqiqa Jew being a supporter of Hezbollah and Iran and a defender of Khomeini on multiple occasions, I don't believe that Haqiqa Jew is a Shi'i. He is a liar, though, a shameless one. Line number...
I don't believe that he's a Shi'i. He is a liar. That was actually a good one for you. He is a liar. Daniel says he has the same priorities as other Madhalis. Target and destroy pro-Palestinian Islamist groups and individuals relentlessly attacking their Aqidah.
Yeah, Madhalis are a section or a faction within the Salafi movement that are basically like
Extremely
loyalists to governments in the Middle East, and that basically abstain from any criticism to the ruling powers and the ruling peeps and all that. So they are basically politically in line with the Middle Eastern countries. That's what the Madhalis are. And Daniel Kikuchu really doesn't like them. He really hates them.
So he says, target and destroy pro-Palestinian Islamist groups and individuals by relentlessly attacking their Aqidah, causing division to discredit them. Discrediting them to cause division. Brilliant.
6. Haqiqa Jew claims that I target and destroy pro-Palestinian Islamist groups and individuals by relentlessly attacking their Aqidah.
Yes, very rude.
Very rude.
Haha, that cat was walking all over his Quran.
Now, if you're reading this tweet, you're thinking that Haqiqa was referring to me attacking the Aqidah of Hamas or some sort of aid organization, which of course would be an absolute lie. But my assumption is what Haqiqa Jew means, if you actually pressure him, is he's going to say something like, yeah, Fareed...
Hold up, I just have to point out, that cat is walking all over all those Islamic books. That cat like, you see me? I walk all over your books, Luther. You see?
I step on them, you see.
You're going to call me kuffar? You're going to call me a kuffar?
What are you going to do about it?
I step on your books. I stand up here on this shelf, and then I pee on the shelf, and then it runs down on all your books, and then I poop on the...
Dumb cat. Oh, boy.
is attacking me, and I'm a pro-Palestinian individual, and he's attacking a pro-Palestinian Islamist group, which is my Muslim skeptic group. Now, of course, he wouldn't just phrase it like that. He wouldn't say Fareed's attacking me and Muslim skeptic. No, Fareed is attacking pro-Palestinian Islamist groups and individuals. So that's what we're dealing with. That's the type of manipulation and framing and hope that we're dealing with when we go back and forth with Haqiqa Jew. He's a deceptive individual that is trying to portray his critics as enemies of the Palestinian people. So
here's a quick question, AP. Think about this.
But the Palestinian people...
Think about
Sorry,
this.
go ahead.
Because it's always the same thing. Oh, yeah, I have to blast this guy for being a complete liar. But he does great work in this other area when he's doing something that I actually agree with. If he's humiliating the kuffar, convincing kids to stand up for child marriage and doing all this research on how child marriage is actually good. And Fareed, you know this guy is a compulsive liar who will not hesitate for a second to make things up and lie to support his own agenda. Right? Got that so far, Fareed? Because you see it because you know he's doing it to you. If someone was watching and not paying attention and just read Daniel's tweets, they would think you're this horribly messed up person who's actually working for the Zionists and so on, right? That's what they think. So because he's doing it to you, you know that what he's saying is not true. You know, this is a guy who will completely lie. Okay.
Yes.
When Daniel's doing all his research to support, child marriage and things like that, you haven't read any of that stuff. You've read zero. even though you also defend child marriage. But you haven't done any of the research. So here's what I'm wondering. If you know in an area where you can judge correctly whether this guy is a compulsive liar, you know this guy is a compulsive liar. Why do you trust his research in another area and then support his great work that he's doing? Guess what? His research, he does the exact same thing. He lies left and right. That's why he was exposed by IP.
That's the question here. That is the correct question. That's the right question.
Weird stuff. It's the same thing with like Sheikh Uthman or something, because Fareed defends Sheikh Uthman. Sheikh Uthman faked a hate crime against himself, squirted fake blood on himself, and then blamed the kuffar and stuff. And he could have gotten away with that. He could have gotten away with that if he hadn't then lied and said that the guy was arrested and taken to court and tried and convicted, and this guy's in prison. And someone told me that he actually went further and said, but then the guy investigated Islam while he's in prison, and now he's a Muslim. Now he's a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And it's like, and no one can find any of this stuff. No one has any record of this. Prosecutors, the police have no evidence. They have no police report. Nothing ever happened. No one went to trial and so on. And he's just going around telling people this. This is the same guy who his Dawah buddy, sent his wife to Sheikh Uthman for marital counseling. And Sheikh Uthman banged the wife and then married her, even though she was still married to the other dude. This is the same Sheikh Uthman whose original wife, assuming that was the original wife, they didn't have more before that, who had to file a restraining order against him a little while back for choking her and beating her and all these other things. And it's like, all Sheikh Uthman ever does is lie compulsively. But you're fine with it because he's on your side. So Fareed,
but he's doing good things for the Ummah, man.
That's what I'm saying. Sheikh Uthman is on the same side with Fareed is sitting here saying, guys, just because you're on the same side with someone on, some ideological level doesn't mean you can agree with all this, doesn't mean you should agree with all this terrible behavior and so on. But Fareed, that's exactly what you do. Sheikh Uthman does all this horrible stuff, is a compulsive liar, but he's on your side, so you defend him. So have to call you out, Fareed. Total hypocrite on this one, Bud Rowe.
But hey, he's doing good stuff for the Ummah, man. Sheikh Uthman is doing good stuff for the Ummah, so
he's humiliating the kuffar. And his wife by choking her. And his friend by banging his wife. And common sense by faking a hate crime against himself and thinking we can't tell what fake blood is. You see?
Go ahead and try to convince your audience that you're not lying. Don't try to convince my audience. Don't try to convince me. We all know that you're full of it. Try to convince your audience that you're not lying. Line number 7. Haqiqat Jew claims that I secretly...
Fareed is an ignorant Mudcully who deliberately lies about... Daniel accusing someone...
Deliberately lying about him? Wow. Man. The greatest liar in the world is accusing somebody else of lying about it.
That's funny. That's what they do, man. That's what they do. And it's exactly what Sheikh Uthman would do. Someone actually came when he was speaking in a mosque and said, hey, I'm interested in you providing evidence. We can't find any evidence of this guy. We can't find any evidence of this guy. And then Sheikh Uthman attacked the guy and got him laughed out of the mosque. I never denied that this is shirk. This is what I said in the same live stream he is citing. But he is too dishonest to acknowledge this. No matter how many times I say it, low IQ Wahhabis will always misunderstand. Saying that something is not known with certainty to be shirk does not mean it is not shirk. Okay, I'm not going to read all of this.
What a useless discussion, man.
Yeah.
That millions of Shias and Sunnis are apostates and that they deserve to be killed. For this one, I'm going to be providing...
Look at this. Fareed does taqiyya in all of this. He wants to declare all these groups as believing in Shirk Akbar, but he secretly hides what that means. That the blood of millions of Shia and Sunnis are halal, and as apostates, they deserve to be killed. That's what he says Fareed is promoting. The blood of millions of Shia and Sunnis are halal? Wait, the blood are halal? Dude, learn some basic grammar. The blood are halal.
Shias and Sunnis are apostates and that they deserve to be killed. For this one, I'm going to be providing a refutation by Haqiqat Jew himself.
Sheikh Al-Adwan is not saying kill Shia.
So
There are
Shaykhul,
many
the fact
Sunni
that-
scholars.
the fact that it's
Way
Sunni-
too much. I hate to do this, guys.
There are many
We could go
Sunni
on any
scholars that
topic forever.
make takfir of
Amos
Shia.
says
I don't
jihad,
agree
your
with that,
opening
but
statement
that
was
doesn't mean they support
only
killing
personal
Shia.
So you see, when Haqiqaju likes someone, he will say that their public takfir of people doesn't mean that they want someone dead. However, when it comes to me, someone he doesn't like, he'll attribute a belief to me, claiming that I'm doing taqiyya, meaning that it is a secret belief and that I want.
Taqiyya.
Yeah, guys, if you didn't understand that point, Daniel is here accusing Fareed of taqiyya and so on. That's one thing. But he's basically saying that when Fareed says these guys are apostates and so on, that he's basically saying they deserve to be killed. They deserve to be killed. When you say this person is apostate, you're saying this person's blood is halal and can be killed. But you just saw a clip of Daniel Haqiqatjou saying, no, if you say someone's an apostate or something, you're not saying, that doesn't mean you're saying they deserve to be killed. So, and then he's accusing him of taqiyya.
Millions dead. Line number 8, in continuation to the line that he brought up previously, Haqiqatjou makes the claim that Wahhabis, like myself, are actively engaging in taqiyya. This is a disgusting lie, and it is like the lie that Islamophobes make against Muslims in general when they defend Islam.
I find it so funny that he uses the term Islamophobes, man. He actually, these guys actually use the term Islamophobe. Like, the term Islamophobe in the West is introduced and adopted by the most ignorant, useful idiots to basically dismiss any criticism or any questioning by people about Islam based on the idea that people have prejudices about Islam and that they falsely think that Islam is altogether violent and wrong and that it must be opposed and so on. People usually call others Islamophobes because they want to prevent people from assuming that Islam is actually this violent, expansionist, intolerant religion. The problem here is when Fareed uses the term Islamophobe, we are speaking of a person who actually believes that apostates should be executed, right? That I should be executed, for example. He believes in a future possible reconciliation of Muslims and the reestablishing of the caliphate. He believes in slavery. He believes in sex slavery. He believes in pedophilia. He believes in punishing blasphemers. He believes in religious wars and so on. He is in a way similar in his views and in his beliefs to Daniel Haqiqatjou. The two guys just have certain disagreements with each other here, but they are very much Islamists who defend the average Islamic political idea, which if we pointed it out, we would be called Islamophobes, but these guys actually believe in it. So for him to sit here and call people Islamophobes is just ridiculous and ironic. I'm sorry for that Islamophobic speech.
It all is. Probably want to take a look at taqiyya here in a second.
Attempt to provide a historical precedence for Wahhabis allegedly doing taqiyya by tying Salafis to a sect that nobody has ever heard of and went extinct over 1,000 years ago. Now imagine this when I'm...
Hang on. He apparently says, he thinks that Wahhabis, Salafis don't practice taqiyya?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hold up.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Quran, Fareed. Let not the believers take disbelievers for their friends in preference to believers. Whoso doeth that hath no connection with Allah, unless it be that ye but guard yourselves against them, taking as it were security. Allah biddeth you to beware only of himself, unto Allah is the journeying. Look at what this says. Let not the believers take disbelievers for their friends in preference to believers. So don't be friends with unbelievers. You should be focused on being friends with believers. If you do that, if you take disbelievers as your friends, you have no connection with Allah, unless it's to guard yourselves against them, taking, as it were, security. In other words, if you're a Muslim, you don't want to be friends with non-Muslims unless it's going to make the non-Muslims suspicious and think that you hate them and that you're trying to conquer them and so on, and that they might be hostile to you. Therefore, pretend to be friends with them. You can pretend to be friends with the unbelievers so that they don't know what you actually think about them. That, Fareed, is straight out of the Quran. Are you saying, Fareed, that Salafis don't believe in the Quran?
Yes.
It sounds like that's what you're saying. Now,
Yes.
since Fareed thinks that this is just some sort of Shia issue or doesn't apply to him or something like that, let's go ahead and take a look. There's a commentary of Ibn Kathir, the great Shia commentator Ibn Kathir.
Ibn Kathir.
Let's check out what this says. The prohibition of supporting the disbelievers. Allah prohibited his believing servants from becoming supporters of the disbelievers, or to take them as comrades with whom they develop friendships, rather than the believers. Allah warned against such behavior when he said, and whoever does that will never be helped by Allah in any way, meaning whoever commits this act that Allah has prohibited, then Allah will discard him. Similarly, Allah said, O you who believe, take not my enemies and your enemies as friends, showing affection toward them until... And whosoever of you does that, then indeed he has gone astray from the straight path. Allah said, O you who believe, take not for friends disbelievers instead of believers. Do you wish to offer Allah a manifest proof against yourselves? And, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians as friends. They are but friends of each other. And whoever befriends them, then surely he is one of them. Got this so far? So lots of commands here. Don't be friends with the unbelievers. Don't be friends with the Jews and Christians. If you do, you're one of them. Very clear. Allah said, after mentioning the fact that the faithful believers gave their support to the faithful believers among the Muhajirin, Ansar, and Bedouins, and those who disbelieve are allies of one another, and if you do not behave the same, there will be fitna and oppression on the earth, and a great mischief and corruption. And here we go. This commentary on the verse we just read, Surah 3, verse 28. Allah said next, unless you indeed fear a danger from them. So all of that was Ibn Kathir commenting on don't be friends, don't take the unbelievers as friends in preference to believers. And then you get to unless you indeed fear a danger from them. Meaning, except those believers who in some areas or times fear for their safety from the disbelievers. In other words, if you're a Muslim living around non-Muslims and the non-Muslims completely outnumber you, then you'd have to be concerned about letting them know what you really think about them and that you can't stand them and that you want to subjugate them. If they come to know that and they completely outnumber you, you'd be in danger. Therefore, what do? You pretend to be friendly. You pretend to be buddies with them. You pretend that you like them. Isn't that interesting? Because it's exactly what we see in Western nations. No, Islam is peace. We just want to get along with everybody. In this case, such believers... Okay, let me read that again. Unless you indeed fear a danger from them, meaning except those believers who in some areas or times fear for their safety from the disbelievers. In this case, such believers are allowed to show friendship to the disbelievers outwardly, but never inwardly. In other words, pretend outwardly to be friends with them, even though inwardly you hate them and want to conquer and subjugate them. For instance, Al-Bukhari recorded that Abu ad-Darda said, this is one of Muhammad's companions, we smile in the face of some people, although our hearts curse them. Al-Bukhari said that Al-Hasan said, another companion of Muhammad, the taqiyya, is allowed until the day of resurrection. Guys, this is a Sunni Muslim commentary, considered one of the greatest commentators of all time, commenting on Surah 3, verse 28, quoting multiple verses from Allah, and then quoting Bukhari about Abu ad-Darda and Al-Hasan, Muhammad's companions, saying, no, of course we do this. Of course we pretend to be friendly. Of course we deceive people into thinking. Of course we smile in the face of some people, even though inwardly our hearts curse them. And this is allowed until the day of resurrection.
I don't know why you keep saying N-word, but whatever.
I just have to wonder, is Fareed practicing taqiyya?
Yes.
Sounds like he might be practicing taqiyya here.
It's allowed, so what's the problem?
That's true. It is. So Fareed's doing exactly what his religion commands him to do. All right, here we go. Back to the video.
dealing with Islamophobes and they're attacking Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I get accused of taqiyya. But I mean, this doesn't matter. This doesn't stick. There's no hadith that permits taqiyya. The only exception for taqiyya is if you have...
There's no hadith.
Wait, let him finish. Wait.
he just read from Bukhari. It's Ibn Kathir, but he's quoting Bukhari.
Like a gun stuck to your head or a sword stuck to your neck or whatever.
Bull. Look at what he just said. It's only allowed. Taqiyya would only be allowed if you have a gun to your head. In other words, someone saying, "If you're a Muslim, I will blow your brains out." Then you could say, "No, I'm not a Muslim." Is that what 328 was saying? It wasn't saying if someone is threatening to kill you, you can pretend to not be a Muslim. That's not what that was saying. It was not saying you could pretend to not be a Muslim if someone's just going around killing Muslims. It was saying, do not be friends, do not be friendly towards the unbelievers that you're supposed to be subjugating and humiliating. Don't do that. Don't be friends with them unless doing so, unless letting them know what you think would put you in some sort of danger or make them more critical or more hostile towards you. And you're not pretending not to be a Muslim. You're pretending to be friendly. You're not pretending not to be a Muslim in this kind of taqiyya. You're pretending to be friendly. You're pretending to not hate them. You're pretending that you're not going to subjugate them. That's not the same thing as having a gun to your head and you saying you're not a Muslim. This is the Ummah deliberately deceiving the non-Muslim population and pretending to be friendly, pretending to live in harmony with them because you're outnumbered. And that's exactly what we mean when we say you guys practice taqiyya.
Right. It is kind of funny though that some people would come, like critics would come and accuse Muslim apologists of practicing taqiyya, and would possibly also accuse Daniel Kikic of practicing taqiyya. And if he denies it, we could basically go back to his accusations against Farid and say, aren't you here claiming that Farid practices taqiyya? So you are saying that your fellow Muslim apologists could and do practice taqiyya. So how can we be sure that you are not doing it as well?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Once you understand that these guys are allowed to deceive in various ways, Muhammad said war is deceit and so on. It's a weird situation where you have to try and figure out when they're lying and when they're not lying, because they're going to say the exact same. In other words, if you have a peaceful Muslim, you have totally peaceful Muslims who don't want to hurt you and so on. And so what's a totally peaceful Muslim going to say? Hey, what are you talking about, man? Islam's religion of peace. I don't want to hurt you. Okay. If you're actually a Muslim who wants to subjugate people and conquer them and take their wives and stuff, but you understand that you're allowed to deceive people, what are you going to say? Going to say the exact same thing that the actually peaceful Muslim says. So the point is, you've got one Muslim saying one thing, and he wants to subjugate you. You get another Muslim who's saying the exact same thing, and he doesn't want to subjugate. How do you tell the difference? Rough.
But what Sunnis do, what I do, and I say, hey, listen, taqiyya, that's a Shi'i thing. You have chapters.
What? Did you not hear a word I just said, Farid? I just read the Quran and one of your greatest all-time commentators who's quoting Bukhari and multiple companions of Muhammad. You're like, oh no, it's a Shia thing. That's what I mean. It sounds like you're being deceptive. It sounds like you're being deceptive right now. Anyway.
It's about taqiyya and Shi'i books, okay? Haqiqat Juhiri is trying to level the playing field. He's like, no. Even the Salafis, they do have taqiyya. And they're linked to this group called the Najdat. And again, I've never heard of this group in my life until just recently when he started posting about it.
He's ignorant.
And he's trying to link us to them. Subhanallah, yani, this is the game that this guy is playing. So well done, Daniel, for giving...
What'd you say?
This is very deceptive, bro.
Kuffar ammo against the people that are defending Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Well done. By the way, it's a terrible argument, but well done. Lie number 9.
Let's see. Farid, stop playing games. You and Jake do believe. You do believe. You just believe killing takes place. Oh, so he's saying you guys do believe in killing all these people. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but I want to thank Daniel Kikichu for confirming for us that that Muslim apologists like Farid are actually engaging in taqiyya. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you
I
for
appreciate
proving your point. Yeah, we should take screenshots of all this stuff and say, you see, Daniel admits that all these Salafis are practicing taqiyya. Don't blame us. Don't blame us when we say these Salafis are practicing taqiyya. Even Daniel Hakikachu, the world's leading defender of child marriage and therefore the greatest defender of Islam, has acknowledged that they practice taqiyya.
Is there a better defender of child marriage than him, if even he admits it? You see?
This is the proof.
Who claims that I'm doing taqiyya and I believe that he should be killed when I've expressed the opposite. So apparently,
Fareed. You see, listen to what Fareed said. So Fareed, let me get this straight. He's accusing you of practicing taqiyya. You're lying to cover up what you really want. And then to prove that you're not lying, you post a tweet where you said, "No, I don't want you dead." Fareed. Again, this won't help you. If someone thinks you're lying about your true intentions, then saying, well, what? I said I don't want to kill him. That does not prove your point. So in other words, anyone who already agreed with you, they're still going to agree with you. Anyone who thought you're lying to cover up your true intentions is not going to be impressed with something they can interpret as you lying to cover up your true intentions.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
anything I say is taqiyya if Haqiqaju doesn't like it. Line number 10. Haqiqaju claims that I do mass takfir on Ash'aris and Maturidis, which I don't. I actually have worked with them in the past when refuting kuffar. Haqiqaju is aware of this, as you can see.
Taqiyya. What?
I can, I know for a fact that this is a lie. So I have to completely here stand with Fareed, which is very funny because I know for a fact that Fareed does not do this because Fareed has worked with such people against me, for example, when he got together with some Ash'ari guy to refute me, supposedly. So this is completely done like he gets you lying about his fellow Muslim. The guy is just completely unhinged, man.
Weird stuff, man.
This tweet as well. I'd also like you to keep in mind that he is claiming that I'm doing taqiyya in regards to Hindu temples, which shows you the mentality of this person. This guy will ask me to condemn this and that, and even if I call this shirk or kufr or haram or whatever, if he gets an answer that doesn't implicate me, he'll say, this is taqiyya, as you can see here. Lies number 11, 12, 13, 14 were made by Haqiqaju, who attributes the
It is acceptable to call upon jinns for assistance. It is acceptable to secretly alter classical collections of hadith and fiqh. It is acceptable to believe that hell is temporary and the universe is eternal.
You see?
following positions to me and Jake, and he says that these are things that I secretly believe in. But Haqiqaju does express one truth on February the 12th, which is that he's intentionally ascribing views in an inaccurate way to
You and Jake constantly assert that I'm a shirk apologist at the top. Who denies that? Blah, 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 blah. And at the bottom there. But if these are your standards, then do not cry about lack of precision and nuance in how I describe your views, especially given that I am far more accurate than you. That's not exactly saying that I'm deliberately being deceptive or something like that. He's saying stop complaining if I'm not precise and nuanced when I respond to you, because I'm more accurate than you guys are when you're responding to me. So I don't know. It sounds like Fareed is practicing taqiyya here.
which is that he's intentionally ascribing views in an inaccurate way to me. Take your time and read this tweet carefully. Line number 15, Haqiqaju claims, I aggressively defend
Taqiyya.
the idea that Islam has no problem with calling on jinn and requesting assistance from them. This is especially ironic since he said that this is my secret belief in the previous screenshot. How is it a secret belief? And then he claims I'm aggressively defending the idea. Of course, this is another lie by Haqiqaju. By the way, I'd like to show you an example of how Haqiqaju treats the Shi'as versus how he treats Sunnis like myself.
There's a fatwa from Khamenei from the leaders of the Shia, from the leaders of Iran, specifically saying it is haram and it is a disgusting thing to curse the Sahaba, including by name Abu Bakr, Umar, and Aisha radiallahu anha. And Uthman, I believe they included as well in the official fatwa that they published. Okay, so if you listen to these figures, they're not cursing the Sahaba in their speeches either. The supreme leader of Iran.
So, guys, if you don't know what that's about, one of the criticisms that Sunnis have of Shias is that Shias will curse people like Abu Bakr and Aisha and various companions of Muhammad and so on. And he's saying, no, he's rushing to the defense of the Shias, saying, no, the leaders condemned it. Yeah, you might find individuals and so on, but the leaders, they say don't do this. So stop being so hostile towards Shias. But then you see how he acts towards Salafis. So seems like he wants to cozy up with Shias far more so than he wants to cozy up with Salafis. So Fareed's right about that.
And they have an official fatwa. So if you say it's taqiyya, in private they're doing this and that, it doesn't matter. What are they saying in public? We judge by the apparent.
Okay, so Daniel, my request to you is please treat me in the same
We judge by the apparent, not by what you really are. We judge by what you're pretending to be. That's what a joke.
way that you treat the Shias. You defend them against accusations, even though you know that they hold those beliefs, and you know that they make these statements out of taqiyya. However, when it comes to me, you attribute things that you know I don't believe in, and you accuse me of taqiyya. Ajib. So please.
Yes, and again, just to be clear, look at what Hijab just said. Okay, so publicly they're saying this. So who cares what they really believe, and who cares if they're actually being deceptive? You have to judge people based on what they're portraying themselves at, not what they're like behind the scenes. He just said that about Shias. And what's he doing with Jake and Fareed? He's saying, oh, they're saying this, but really they're working behind the scenes for Israel. And wait, make up your mind, dude. Make up your mind.
Daniel, treat me in the same way that you treat the people that insult and curse Abu Bakr and Umar. May Allah be pleased with them. By the way, guys, there are more laws.
Be pleased with who? The people who curse them, or?
The funny thing is that I so don't care about this little conflict between the Shia and the Sunnis. It's like
me neither.
Than this is just 15. I just want to give you a taste. If I wanted to, I could give Daniel the Christian Prince treatment and give him the whole 100 Lies playlist. And it hurts me to say this, but once upon a time, when I was working on those Christian Prince videos, I used to think to myself, Alhamdulillah, there's no one among the Muslims that's like this. And it hurts me to have to say that, yes, there is.
Hurts me to have to say, yes, there is. And his name is Daniel Hakikaju. Fareed, you just sat there the entire time talking about how mean Daniel Hakikaju is to you. And then your takeaway message is, he's exactly like Christian Prince, except a Muslim.
Here's the funny thing. I mean, if Fareed actually sits there, right, and thinks to himself that there is nobody who is a liar like supposedly Christian Prince, and he still thinks that, and he still thinks that only Daniel Hakikaju is now the great liar, I must say that Fareed is either very stupid or just very dishonest. And I'm not sure if he is dishonest about this to simply the public or to himself, because I know of one other guy who is incredibly dishonest, who is as dishonest as it gets. I can think of another very popular Muslim apologist who is as dishonest as it gets. In fact, I could list so many lies that this guy has made. And that would be Mohammed Hijab.
No, he speaks the truth because he's very strong.
Fareed knows that Mohammed Hijab is such a brutal, hardcore liar. He knows this. If he doesn't know it, then I really question his intellectual, capabilities or whatever it is. But he knows that this guy is a complete liar. He knows that Dawah is a big liar. He knows that other people, you mentioned Sheikh Uthman, for example, have lied on so many multiple occasions in public. you know that these guys are complete liars.
And by the way, it's interesting. It's like that there's a good overlap between the guys who are compulsive liars and the guys who are obvious narcissists. And I pointed out that Fareed isn't, Sajid isn't, and so on. And to be clear, even though I massively disagree with Fareed, I'm not thinking that he's like just a liar like these other guys. I think that his allegiance to certain positions in Islam forces him to make stupid claims and to be completely wrong. But I don't, I think it's because his allegiance to Islam sort of compels him to take those responses, not because he's just sitting there thinking up lies. So just to give an example, something we've gone back and forth in the past on is we point out that in the Quran, Allah repeatedly declares that Muhammad couldn't perform miracles. He's just a warner. And then Fareed will deny that and say, but Muhammad performed all these miracles in the hadiths. And so, whereas we're looking at that going, okay, these hadiths are obviously made up. If according to the Quran, Muhammad spends his entire prophetic career coming up with excuses for why he can't perform miracles, and suddenly we go to the hadith and he's performing miracles left and right, obviously obvious that those are fabricated. But those are sahih. So from his perspective, he has to believe those things. And so he has to reinterpret the Quran in light of these obvious fabrications and so on. So I don't think he's being deceptive when he says, no, Muhammad performed all these miracles. He really believes in the methodology and so on. And therefore, he says stupid things. But that's very different from being just a compulsive liar like Daniel and Hijab and Ali Dawah and Sheikh Uthman and so on.
Powerful.
Tell Daniel Hakikachu that Fareed is Yemeni and that Muhammad said they are the best of people. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. So that's the latest update on the Dawah Wars. Things are going really well. Only going to get worse in 2025. Trust me. We'll see. Rome, Constantinople. We'll go through this last super chats. Rome, Constantinople reunion won't just be generational, but millennia defining. Inshallah, soon.
I would love to see that. Some people don't want to, but I would love it.
I'm leaving out an Ezra cup in case he visits with Elijah on Pesach. We will find out once and for all.
Nice.
You got to leave stuff out for Ezra. Am I the actual Muslim if I judge by the Torah and the Gospel? Yes, you would be, according to the Quran. How do you identify someone doing the taqiyya? It can be hard, but usually you just catch them over time. The most straightforward to catch them is when they're actually exposed. Like after the 9/11 attacks and so on, there were people, this has nothing to do with Islam. And they'd later get video footage of them celebrating behind the scenes and stuff and calling them the glorious martyrs so you can catch people like that. But Dizzle, shout out my daughter Lydia. Hey, Lydia, how you doing? Be based like us. Super chat, no comment, but thank you, Rafo. MT says, AP, have you seen Candace O spreading fake picture of a Syrian baby saying it's Gazan and that Randy Fine endorsement means America is controlled by Israel? Don't even think she's been community noted. Is that true?
I haven't seen the one with the baby picture. I did see that she basically says that that Donald Trump is just a puppet and that the White House is actually controlled by other forces led by Benjamin Netanyahu. And so she's basically doing the whole Zionist occupied government, Jewish controlled government thing. It's just it's so funny to me because the very same people who go around the loudest screaming all the time, America, America first, America first, America first, happen to quickly turn into those who are anti-America when things get serious. She has become completely anti-America. She has become completely anti-American geopolitics, anti-Trump, now accusing America of being a puppet of the Jews. The funny aspect to that also to me is that it's incredible that in America it's a common conspiracy theory among crazy people, only a few crazy people who say that the Jews or Israel are actually controlling America. But in Israel, it's an actual discussion that America is controlling Israel. But you have the most unrealistic belief of these two is, of course, that Israel is controlling America. But you have people like Candace Owens openly and proudly saying dumb stuff like that, and also arguing that the Jews are in charge and so on. She's obviously a crazy nut job. She is a I mean, she was hired because of her skin color. That's it. And is now and was turned into a speaker who simply says the dumbest and latest dumbest things that people want to hear. She doesn't have an opinion of her own. She just repeats whatever her husband says. So it's just a shame that we have to put up with such a public figure.
D. Wood, opinion on the dolphin grape crisis in Pakistan. Yeah, I've seen some stuff about that, but I haven't really followed it. But that's pretty creepy stuff. They apparently like to bang dolphins over there. But I mean, we saw years ago when it was like Pakistan led the world in search for videos with human beings and animals. Let's just say. D1AP, in your opinion, what's the 3 worst things Momo has ever did in order? Also, what is the nicest thing Momo has ever done in his life? It's actually tough to say because 3 worst things because there are things Muhammad did that his followers that wouldn't be an issue for his followers afterwards, but there are things that he did that massively influenced the Ummah. And so, let me give you an example. So, it's extremely messed up that Muhammad took the wife of his own adopted son after causing the divorce by lusting after her and then justifying this by claiming to get Quran verses and so on. However, that's not something that you see lots of other Muslims doing because when he tried to justify it, he had to outlaw adoption in Islam. So it's not an issue anymore of taking the taking the wife of your own adopted son. So you don't see this thing going on over and over again, right? Whereas consummating a marriage with Aisha, here we are 14 centuries later, Muslims are still defending it, and it still happens in the Muslim world, and it's been happening for 14 centuries. So that sort of thing is actually really bad. You have an occasional passage in the hadiths about Muhammad hitting one of his wives. But I have to say that in this situation, the command itself is worse, right? Because you just get this blanket command that husbands can beat their wives into submission. And he also said that a man will not be asked as to why he beat his wife. It's, hey, if a guy's beating his wife into submission, you just mind your own business. So it's a situation where some of the worst things he did were actually just giving certain commands that can be worse than something that he did that doesn't necessarily influence a ton of people. So you have the situations where it's both. He gives a command in the Quran, Surah 65:4, that you can have sex with prepubescent girls, but he also does it. And so some of those kinds of things. You have some messed up things that he does, like torturing a guy to find out where his money is and stuff. That doesn't seem to be this ongoing issue with people doing this all over the place. So yeah, it'd probably be some of the things that he commanded that still affect people, like death sentence for apostates and so on, some of those things. As far as the nicest thing, I would say the best thing Muhammad did was to rule out, tell his followers not to commit female infanticide. So that is something I would agree with him. You have any thoughts on this, AP?
I would say the nicest thing was to marry a little child.
That's good. Very loving.
The worst things were, of course, marrying a little child, declaring himself to be a prophet, and staying alive. Just
being born, being born and then staying alive for so long.
But the whole raiding and being a prophet aspect, there's just too much. The nicest thing, I can't really think of a nice thing. I mean, I guess the nicest thing would be that he didn't outright say you are all allowed to rape little children. So
we will never forget. Oh, this is from Mosh Cohen. We will never forget that Haydar Golden was murdered after the ceasefire took place in 2014, and they used an ambulance to kidnap him to a hospital. Interesting. So Mosh is pointing out that the ambulance thing may have had something to do with them knowing that these guys will use an ambulance to cover up what they're actually doing. They be flashing their zabibas. I showed them my zabubas. And we've got grapes there. Ali Dawah likes his grapes. Maybe I missed it. Have you heard about the epic Muslim city being planned in Texas? It's very creepy. I tried to join Quran Project, but hasn't worked. What do you mean? You click on it and sign up for the community, and then we're all in there.
She just said it didn't work.
What it's working for everyone else, so I don't know what's going on.
It clearly didn't work for her. So.
Yeah, if you're having a problem, send me an email. You can look up email on my YouTube page, and I can put you in contact with tech support. Dawah was behind the curtains. That's true. That's true. D-Wood, looks like your Quran project will end up proving that no one really reads the Quran. Yes, it will. These guys say, you've got Dawah guys who say the exact opposite of what the Quran says, and the entire Ummah believes them, and it looks like no one's actually reading the Quran. But we will. Mrs. Ali Dawah 100% has the booming voice of a pre-op tranny. What? Why is everyone making fun of Ali Dawah's wife, man? What'd she ever do? The only thing she did was like write some things, scribble some notes down on a whiteboard. They sound the same.
His wife sounds like this, like.
Pat's Leather Chef says they sound the same because they're cousins. How do you know? You don't know if they're cousins just because it's extremely common. Libyano said what? Libyano said because there's zero evidence of the OG Injil doesn't mean anything since there's no evidence of the Q gospel. Does this presuppose the Q theory is true? And what are your thoughts on how to respond? Wait, Libyano said that because there's zero evidence of the OG Injil doesn't mean anything since there's no evidence of the Q gospel. Does this presuppose the Q theory is true? And what are your thoughts on how to respond? I mean, as far as Q theory being true, there's nothing that should bother Christians about Q theory. It's just that there was originally some sayings document of Jesus that we don't actually have, but that was actually circulated, and some of the quotations from Jesus were included in the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke. So I don't know why there'd be a problem with Q theory.
How do you explain that?
But as far as the Injil, as far as the okay, now I get it. So if you're saying, hey, the Quran says there's some sort of Injil given to Jesus, and you say, oh, but we have no evidence of this. We have no evidence of this gospel given to Jesus, and you say, but there's no evidence of the Q theory or something. No, you have all kinds of evidence of the Q theory. You have all kinds of evidence. You have no evidence of some book given to Jesus. You don't have that. But besides that, this is all irrelevant, because the claim of the Quran is not the claim of the Quran is not there's some lost gospel of Jesus. The claim of the Quran is that Christians have the gospel, and the Quran says the gospel is given to Jesus. So that's a point. The problem is for Muslims. That's a Muslim problem. Your book says that the Injil was given to Jesus, and your book says that we have the gospel and that we have to judge by it. So Muslims have to solve that mystery. Muslims have to solve that mystery. And you can either say that the gospels we have were given to Jesus, or you have to say that the Quran is talking about gospel in two different ways, which is exactly how Christians talk about. We'll talk about Jesus preaching the gospel. That's a spoken message. But when you're talking about a book that Christians have, we know what that is. That's the combination of the four gospels or the entire New Testament. If you're talking about something we have and you're saying we have to judge by it, then you're affirming what we have. So it's up to you to tell us whether what we have is the exact same thing as what the Quran says was given to Jesus, or it's something else that's also called the gospel and that Allah is affirming. None of that helps. The point is, none of that helps you. Nothing. If you say that the gospel is only something given to Jesus, okay, then we don't have that. The Quran says we do have it. You're in trouble. It doesn't work. Or you can say that, no, the Quran is saying the gospel is given to Jesus, and the Quran is also affirming the text of the gospel that you guys have now. Okay, then you're stuck with the Islamic dilemma. The point is, there's nothing here that makes sense. There's nothing here that makes sense. Don't let a Muslim get away with saying, no, it was something given to Jesus, but then it was lost, and you have no evidence of it. That's not what the Quran says. The Quran keeps saying that we have it and we have to judge by it, and we have no ground to stand upon unless we stand upon the gospel that we have. So that's just, they keep acting like we're the ones with the problem here. No, your book is the problem. Been watching Mike Winger videos. I lost 50 kilograms. Yeah, because your brain fell out. On Urban Dictionary, please do not look up Turkish delight. Okay, we will not. Here is one by a guy named Harris Sultan. Why did Apostate Prophet convert to Christianity? Well, I thought, no, Harris is friendly, man. Did you actually watch it, Drake?
He actually made a video about this, and
He's not
It was
attacking
pretty
you, right?
good.
Yeah.
No, it was
not
pretty
attacking
good.
him. Yeah, don't look at the headline and say, oh, he's an atheist, so he must be mean. Harris is a pretty friendly guy.
He was pretty good. And he also said that he's totally supportive of me and so on. So
Promos CV said he had a mole. Unlettered was he, without pen or scroll. He said the Torah foretold of his role. It's there in your scriptures. So now pay your toll. Well, that's part 1. Part 2 will be coming soon, but it's further down. How do I respond to a Muslim who says they can't believe Christianity because of how many denominations there are? Well, just point out all the different denominations in Islam, and don't just think there's just Sunni, Shia, and Sufi. No, you have all sorts of subgroups within these groups. And they don't agree even on basic theology. You'll have Sunnis who believe that Allah has actual literal body parts, and Sunnis who don't believe that. So, Hunter says, I was the one who pointed out the Dawah voice the other night. Okay, maybe others did too, but it was funny for those of us who know you, so you're good. Yeah, I was thinking if you know that Dawah voice, that's one thing, but other people might have been like, what kind of dumb voice is that? Cyrus's resume wasn't the same. His destiny was foretold by name. Isaiah said that he'd set captives free, which just what he did in 538 BC. Cyrus let the Jews that were captured.
I would have to say in response to the other question also about about Christian denominations, it's like on the surface it seems like an interesting question, but it's like. First off, there aren't actually that many different denominations.
There are 4 billion, just like 4 billion Bibles.
If you, I guess, if you want to treat all non-denominational or Protestant or Reformed ones as separate denominations, you could count them up to, I don't know, many. Or you could just view them as a handful of different denominations, a handful of different Christian traditions, and there you don't have to necessarily go for the idea that that it is proven false because there's so much disagreement among them. I mean, that's a very stupid argument, or that. Or you would ask the question, which Christianity is the truth? If you're going to argue that Christianity is true, then which Christianity is true? You don't have to get there. You can start with the basic premise, which is that that the beliefs of Christianity are true, right? The other stuff that Christians internally disagree over are simply things related to further details on how we establish the doctrines of the faith and so on. It doesn't necessarily say anything about the truth or falsehood of the religion itself. So this is a dumb point. You could also very well believe that the religion altogether is true, and people simply have different ways of explaining it and of believing it and practicing it and so on. So, yeah,
that is correct. Yeah, I mean, just think about any issue. You'll have people agreeing on something and then disagreeing on other things and so on. You wouldn't say this makes the core position false. If you did, I don't know how you'd ever affirm anything. And so it would be good. It would be good to ask a question like, do you assume that if a bunch of human beings who have different views and different personalities and so on, had secondary differences on an issue, therefore the issue is false?
Yes.
And that I'm saying that because that would be a really weird claim. Take a scientific issue, some scientific theory that scientists agree on, but they have different perspectives on it and stuff like that, and some differences. Would you say therefore the scientific theory has to be incorrect because they have some other disagreements on it and they have different camps? It'd be a weird kind of claim.
Yes.
Let's see. If a Dai
here we have one. Here we have one AS saying, this guy went believing in no God to believing in 3. I would first invite you to learn English. Secondly, nobody believes in 3 gods. So you don't even understand what people believe in.
You can't say no one believes in 3 gods. You could have a person who believes in 3 gods. It's just not anyone we're familiar with.
Just not Christian, yeah.
Yes. If a Dai prioritizes his day job over Allah, does that mean he's shirking his responsibilities?
Yeah.
That's funny. Get it? He's shirking his responsibilities.
Yes.
Fareed always looks so absolutely miserable. AP, how did it feel mentally to be a Muslim? He looks like he has no joy in his life whatsoever.
I don't know. I think he's very happy. You know? I think he's a very, very happy with his goats and all that.
David, it's only hands that count, except only feet. Muslim theology, since it doesn't make. Also, a new coffee product, Kafir Coffee, from the Garka tree. Hey, we should come up with our own coffee brand.
We should.
And market our own coffee. Call it Kafir Coffee. Kafir Coffee would be cool. And you say it's all from the Garka tree.
Let's do it.
We should actually find whatever is thought to be the Garka tree and include actual Garka tree. So if you drink this, you're safe from jihadis. Did AP see Dillahunty's reaction to his conversion? Yeah, AP's talked about it. It was just a tweet or something, right?
I saw multiple people now bring this up, and now I'm wondering if he actually talked about it.
Oh, if he said something else, like in a video or something?
Yeah, because all I have seen was him just responding on Twitter to me. That's it. And I didn't even interact with it. So,
guys, did he say something in a video, or is it just some tweet that he shared? I mean, some tweet that he posted.
Are you just talking about the tweet, or did he say more? I'm wondering.
Daughter of the Most High said, did you hear of the protester in Gaza tortured to death by Hamas on the Free Press YouTube channel? It was not covered by much media. Is that the guy who was leading the protest? And they is that the guy? If so, yes, I've heard of that. But it is pretty crazy what these guys will do to anyone who resists them. And these are the same people who voted them into power. Whenever these hominids say genocide, I put my shirt over my head like Butthead doing cornholio. It was Beavis who did cornholio. And I waved my hands around shouting and crying in mock Arabic. It is cathartic. That's a good idea. But get your facts right. It was Beavis. AP, D-Wood, and all Christians. Prayers for Texas Governor Abbott and staff in their fight against the building of Sharia City near Dallas. Please write to them to show support and encourage the fight. There's no scenario where I'm going to write to these politicians. But we should cover this story and look into it a bit more so we can discuss it. Daniel, you should keep to what you do best, defending marrying children. How dare you? Stop with the malicious lies. Look, it's Rabbi. Rabbi Fareed. It's actually got Fareed on there as a rabbi. Fareed has been exposed. He's actually an undercover rabbi. At this rate,
Atilante actually talked about it briefly on an episode of The Line.
Oh.
I've never watched The Line, but I don't know.
You should, we should get it and get together a couple clips. It would actually be a super based show, and we can humiliate everyone who whines about AP. At this rate, will Dawah flush this year or remain an embarrassing floater? Will it remain an embarrassing floater? I think this is going to be the worst year ever for Dawah. Would Fareed say that Daniel Hakikachu is mapping the way for Muslims? Yes. David AP, do you guys think Muhammad made Islam up by taking ideas from other religions, or he was actually visited by a demon and was brainwashed and stole ideas from other religions? I think you could argue it either way, and that you have good evidence for arguing it either way. So you basically have three main options. Either he's getting his revelations from God, like he thought, in which case I'd say you have the least evidence for that. That's like terrible, and you have too much evidence against it. But the other two possibilities are that he was deliberately making up revelations, or in other words, his revelations have a purely human origin, namely his own mind. Or keep in mind, if his revelations have a purely human origin, like his own mind and his surroundings and so on, there's two directions to go there. He could be doing so deliberately, or like just he's got mental problems and he thinks he's getting revelations even though he isn't. And then the third possibility is that there's something demonic at work. And I actually think it's a combination of the last two, and you have good evidence for both of them. That this guy had one, you have evidence that this guy has some serious issues, and I would say you have some good evidence for demonic influence on him. Just wanted to wish you a happy of all birthdays in advance. Hey, how'd you know it's my birthday in 2 days?
How'd you know it's my birthday?
I won't be able to watch your videos in some time. Guys, let's flood the chat with Cash, love to you. People have been flooding with super chats, and then tell them it's my birthday in 2 days. Gonna be 49, man. Why do these Muslims always have a British accent? Because they're all British. They're the real British. Is there a secular publisher I can purchase a Quran from for the project? I don't want to fund Islamic institutes in any way. You can always get one at like you can always get a used one or something like that online. That money's not going to go to anyone if it's like through a bookstore. So you can look up a Quran on Amazon or something like that and click on a used copy, and you can get like a new used copy from a bookstore. But the point is that's just going to the bookstore. The book's already there. The publisher has already made that money by originally selling it. This would be owned by a bookstore. So yeah, or you could just use an online Quran or something like that.
Can somebody tell me which episode or which video that was where Matt Dillahunty talked about me? Because I can't find it.
Why are you so obsessed with anything anyone says about you? Show some humility, man.
I'm going to humiliate
We will
him.
destroy Matt Dillahunty. Matt Dillahunty will be Matt Dillahunted by AP.
You see?
Christian Gadfly says, I don't understand how YouTube Christians have feuds. They all seem so cool, except that loser Goat Hub. Hey, Christian Gadfly, you should jump into a live stream with us this year. Pretty soon.
Yes.
On a cool topic. AP has the Holy Spirit punctuality fire happening. AP did just dramatically change in terms of being on
It
top.
might be a coincidence.
Might be a miracle. Imagine being a little gadfly, filthy trash. I'm starting to think that these are buddies or the same person, Goat Hub and Christian Gadfly. Ex-Muslim on Matt Frad said D. Wood and Nabil were inspiration. Oh, did he?
Powerful.
Is that the interview you were talking about? He said we should go through some clips of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Lol, that Muppet wish he could get into 8200. Fareed wishes he could be in that unit. Dex Generate 489 attributed D. Wood as one of the main reasons to leave 24 years of atheism and accepting Christ, and comment toddler gets suspended video. Okay, that's a video I posted a couple days ago. Huh, that's interesting. No Jew thinks he's a Zionist operative. We just think he's a Baal end. That's a British thing. For you Americans, you won't understand what that means. But it's not a good thing to be. It's Ali Dawah that's the Israeli asset, and he's proud of that. Yes. All these guys would be. I mean, think, guys, if you were actually like Mossad masterminds plotting the destruction of Dawah, what would you do? You'd get Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawah, Sheikh Uthman, Daniel Akikachu, all these guys as the representatives of Islam. Why do I say that? Because it's exactly what I do, ladies and gentlemen. I figure out who needs attention and who needs to be running the Ummah and so on. And I give little nudges to people to help them get more popular here and there. And I say, people say, oh, you should destroy No, you don't destroy your gold mine. You don't destroy a gold mine until it stops producing gold. These guys have not stopped producing gold. But the point is, yeah, if you were some mastermind, you wouldn't want to be destroying these guys. You would want Ali Dawah. You would want people like Ali Dawah being the leaders of the Dawah movement. You would want these guys being the public faces of Dawah, because it's terrible. It's terrible for the future of Islam. Israel, we had Masab Hassan Yusuf, but want Fareed. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want this guy. We want Fareed. When the Ummah needed him most, Allah once again lets his religion crumble from the inside. That is true. We're seeing it. You are six. You're sick. You are six. You should modify that slightly to say you're six. That hijab soundbite. Daniel is mad that Fareed is blowing his cover in Unit 8200. That's true. Fareed is mad that Daniel said he's in 8200 instead of Mossad Somet Division. Internet slap fight. You know, it'd be funny if like Unit 8200, whoever's running that, was like masterminds, and these guys are all in Unit 8200, but the leaders like have them going after each other and stuff like that to cause more division in the Ummah. That would be classic. What doubts, man? That's a good point. When the cat is more entertaining and true. yeah, Fareed now has to include little clips of his cat to keep people paying attention. And Sheikh Uthman would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for his compulsive lying. That is a problem. It's like they can't just tell a little bit. It's like, oh, people are falling for this. I just have to tell more and more and more. I've seen the same accusation, she's a Mossad agent, unit number, blah, 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 by a Muslim on a Christian woman's Twitter. I thought, who could fall for this? But Fareed seems worried. Ummah is not smart. Dude, that is interesting. Like, we're sitting there going like, why is he complaining all this stuff? It's like insane and idiotic.
Fareed and Jake, they're part of this Israeli agency trying to attack me for my powerful defense of child marriage.
And you're thinking, why do you even respond to this? It's so stupid. But the fact that Fareed is responding shows that Fareed believes the Ummah is stupid enough to fall for this and that he has to actually respond carefully to it. So that is actually a good point there. Dawah is Bawa. Lying then crying. Wawa. Is goat halal for a wife in Islam? AP? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. You have it here, folks. I don't like how people use the word phobia nowadays. Phobia is an irrational fear where people have reactions akin to panic attacks. Yeah. Yeah, and if you have an actual phobia of something like spiders or something, like you can show someone like a picture of a spider and they'll like be paralyzed. Whereas if you're talking about Islam, they call us Islamophobes. Guys, do we look scared to you?
I'm terrified, man.
Do we look scared to you?
I'm horrified.
I rolled up to Speaker's Corner in a shirt covered in Quran verses with checkmate jihadis written across it. Do we look scared to you? That sound like paralyzed with fear.
I'm horrified. I'm so scared I can't even explain it.
Who is more based, Frank Turek or Aaron Ra? Frank Turek. The next Dawahist, that's funny, will be called the Quran Shan. The Quran Shan? What is that? Let's turn those Qurans core off. Takia? I thought you said tequila. Yes, I did. That's how I started my Takia video back in the day when you could still use music clips without getting copyright strikes. You see, I used the famous song tequila. You see, the path of the laughing lion is superior to that of the tarantula and supreme dragon. David, the silver soul's civic duty required education. That is true. The silver soul.
Did you see that clip? Joseph said you guys should react to the Knechtle bros versus the Ortho bros. The thing is, that wasn't the Ortho bros. There was actually an Ethiopian Orthodox, so an Oriental Orthodox dude, having a discussion with Cliff Knechtle, and everybody's talking. All Christians are talking about it except David Wood. So, yeah. You haven't seen that?
No, we could. How long is it?
I don't know.
Is it like 3 hours or is it like 20 minutes?
I think it's like 10 minutes or so. I don't
know. 10 minutes? We should definitely check that out. AP, we had the silver, that last comment, the silver souls. That is Plato's Republic. AP, I DM'd you a Dawah-themed movie poster I made on Twitter. I have the same username there as well, which is Bleeperton. You will find it very based.
I will check it out.
Quit ignoring things. D-Wood and AP, thanks, but this Takia! No, it's not. We'll never know. Imams follow this universal law. The bigger the zabiba, the greater the hikmah. All these new Dawah teachers are all beard and no zabiba. That's true.
It never stops being funny to talk about the zabibas.
You could talk about zabiba all day, and then zabubas, and it's just, yeah.
The bigger the zabiba, the greater the hikmah.
The bigger the zabiba, the greater the hikmah. That's a cool saying. That should be like my little Twitter bio. Rip the Quran to protect Islam. Stop the hate. We will.
Nice.
Who's that Pokemon? Ha Pikachu. Pikachu. Stay away from Islam. Do something other, e.g. fun German accent. Ja.
That's true.
Ich mag das. AP, go bald or get me out of your van. That's from Bully McGuire. No comment from Luffy there, but thanks for the super chat. What if Islam takes control of the dolphins and uses them for jihad?
Dolphins.
Mega avalanche in the next 4 to 5 years. Oh, yes. We're right on schedule for the mega avalanche. The nicest thing he did was he didn't refuse the poisoned food. That was very polite. That is very good. That's definitely one of the top 3 nice things Muhammad did. He could have refused it. He could have refused to take a bite of the poisoned food and then lived for another 10 or 12 years and given us more horrible revelations. But he very politely accepted the poisoned food and died. Good to see you both. Yes, I agree. Good to see you too, Rego.
Good to see you.
Guys, I just found out Ali Dawah's wife is mute. That's why she was writing on a whiteboard. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We almost thought, oh, that explains things, but yeah.
Wait, this chap watches as Cliff says is connectly. I also guessed it wrong. Well, here's the thing. My big surprise to everybody is that he probably doesn't really know how to say it correctly. It is connectly.
Yeah. He doesn't know how to say it correctly. What? Look, the water, it's got... Oh, this is I can already tell. It's Ali Dawah. Look, the water got layers, yeah? How hell no, we got that, yeah? It's like the layers of tiramisu, yeah? Like tiramisu got layers, yeah? So how did Allah know that the water be like tiramisu down there with the layers?
Nice.
Oh, boy. I think I liked the wrong video. There was one that said Christianity was a cult. Sadly, I can't find that one. I wonder what Lily J would say about Quran 4:117. I ordinarily would know 4:117. I can't think what that is. You want to check that out real quick?
No. Instead of Allah, wait, they call upon, instead of him, none but female deities. And they call upon none but a rebellious Satan.
That's true. That's true. Lily J. Chat. It's real late in Europe right now. We'll watch later, but here's some cash for the cause. Please pray for Holland not to fall like the UK. Well, we don't want any of these countries to fall, ladies and gentlemen.
It doesn't really matter if we want it or not. I mean, the UK will fall. So there's that.
They're already locked in, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know. No, there is time. It's just, it doesn't look like it doesn't look good. It looks really bad. David, you once talked about what Starlight, a character on The Boys, said about Christianity, making a response vid just saying that I'd watch that. Oh, yeah, see.
Isn't that the one who walks around in diapers?
No, it's some chick who, she does light shows or something like that. Yeah, when is the next season of The Boys coming out? That would be a good time for it. I didn't.
She walks around with her breasts out and wearing diapers. That's basically it. It's kind of a funny thing that this is how they portray
that is not the character. But
she is literally walking around with a giant diaper.
Who? What are you talking about?
Starlight and The Boys.
You're a weirdo. Christian Killian, remind me of that like 2 months or so before the next season of The Boys is coming out. And then, because that would be a good time. And matter of fact, what would be a good time is like release the video like the same day it's coming out and respond to our little speech. I miss OG Big D Dizzle back when YouTube was new. It was fun back then. It was fun. But it's still fun. And I have to say, back then when there was like me and like very few other people dealing with Islam, that was cool. But I have to say, it's way better now. Way better now. What's up? What are you laughing at, you weirdo?
I just saw this comment here saying by Skylark, "What a wild sentence to have joined the stream on."
What was
probably
it?
When I just
no, she's in a diaper. She's walking around in a diaper.
Jay Pendragon said, "Can you do a video on Allah versus Yahweh?" Could, and there would be some interesting points there, but I'm trying to think. I have nothing in planning right now. In fact, guys, for like the next 4 to 6 months, I'm going to be focusing on Islamic dilemma videos. Hey, your brother in Christ. He says, Robert E.L. Masters, a popular Arab saying, the pilgrimage to Mecca is not complete without copulating with the camel. Wow. Is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, be sure to follow your brother in Christ. Check out his channel. Got some stuff. How could he have known that? That's true.
You see?
But Fikri here says, no comment. Weil es nur die echten Fans wissen, next year will be your year with a super chat concerning your birthday.
Oh. Weil es nur die echten Fans wissen means because only the real fans know it.
Mm-hmm.
See?
I really like tiramisu. I really like tiramisus, yeah. Also, I'm 12, not 6. Good point. Good point, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. Oh, so yeah, guys, we're normally live on AP's channel on Saturday. I was thinking, what are we going to do tomorrow? And that tomorrow's Monday, but no, tomorrow is Sunday because we're normally live on my channel on Sunday and on AP's channel on Saturday. We reversed it because we planned a show yesterday, and then a really, really screwed up airline turned my 4-hour trip into 13 hours. I won't say which airline that was. I'll just say that it's a great American airline.
My favorite airline, man.
That's what I'll say. And let's see. So, you know what we're talking about tomorrow, AP?
Probably looking through one of those guys talking about from one cult to another cult or something like that,
Yeah.
who complain about me going toward Christianity or something like that.
Yep, that'd be good. Hunter says, did you have a good trip back, by the way? No, it sucked. It really, I mean, it was good in the sense that I was reading lots of commentary on Quran verses that talk about the Islamic dilemma, because I was sitting there in the airport and I had my laptop and I had that stuff on my laptop and so on. And I watched the video by Fareed, although I just noticed a bunch of stuff while we were watching that I wasn't really paying attention to. I don't know. It's just, I guess the airport's a more distracting environment. And I watched Hijab's video in the airport. So I actually got stuff done in the airport, but no, it was a nightmare. So they send me to a place, but the plane took off late because the weather was crappy. It took off late, and then I missed my connecting flight because I got there late, even though I sprinted across the airport to get to it. And then they said that they couldn't get me home till tomorrow. And I had to actually say, guys, I take care of my disabled son and there is no nurse tonight. So I really, really need to get back because they scheduled it for the next day. And so then they had to fly me to a completely different place and then get the flight back home. And so that's why it ended up taking 13 hours for a 4-hour trip. But, so yeah, that sucked, but I made the best of it and got a lot of work done. And the Ummah will pay the price for everything that I learned yesterday.
The Ummah will pay for
They
it.
will be humiliated. D1AP, I keep seeing videos on YouTube saying Allah is actually Baal. Have you guys made videos on this? No. And we have Wallahi. That's true. And I have people are tossing in super chats here at the end. I have a Muslim friend that wants to talk to me about Islam, but I also want to take that opportunity to show him how bad and dangerous Islam is. Please, David, please give me some tips. Will Pro, look up a video. And I realized I mean, this is something I made several years ago. And then I took I took most of the content down from my old channel and then gave the channel away. But you can still find it. You will have the advice you need, Will Pro. Search for, matter of fact, this is a video I want to re-record just because people always ask me. And I tell them to look up people who've reposted my old video when I could just remake the video and it's an important video. But the video is titled, How to Share Unpleasant Facts with Pleasant Muslims. Some people have it on, people made backup channels of my old videos
Pleasant
and stuff.
Muslims?
How to share unpleasant facts with pleasant Muslims.
Pleasant Muslim?
That gives the basic approach that I would use, and I think is very, very effective for talking to your friend. Your brother in Christ just messaged me, and he said, the quote from Robert E.L. Masters is a real one. I did a video covering the animal thing in Islam last year. Okay, so that's a real thing. And your brother in Christ says he has a video on his channel about some of the creepy stuff that goes on, ladies and gentlemen. So you can check that out. Let's see. Orthodox Muslim called out Sam Shamoon on TikTok for debate. Orthodox Muslim called out Sam Shamoon on TikTok for debate.
What is Orthodox Muslim?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why are they?
Yeah. And why the double post? Dr. Rick says, why have you never discussed Allah is Beelzebub, a.k.a. Baal? Never.
Why have you never done that? What's wrong with you?
Why haven't we done this? Because I don't know. I've been covering other videos on other things. All right, everyone. So we'll be back on AP's channel tomorrow, and then will be my birthday. It'd be funny to go. It'd be funny if we all just sat here eating cake on my birthday and went live and just sat around eating cake.
Let's do that.
That would be funny. That'd be funny. And guys, on Tuesday again, going to be on with Jai DOC and Chris from Speaker's Corner. And for any Europeans who are up really, really late right now, Tuesday will be a better time for you because we'll be going 5 o'clock Eastern time so that people in the UK can still be up. But that will be really good. We're going to go through Muhammad Hijab's video trying to respond to the Islamic dilemma. And it is a bad time to be responding to the Islamic dilemma because we got a whole community studying it and knowing how to expose it. And these responses are just not going to work anymore. And final super chat here from Aisha Young, Goo Goo Gaga. That's what Muhammad's dream date and Daniel Hakikachu's dream date would say. All right, everyone. Catch you tomorrow on AP's channel. What? Aisha Young, Goo Goo Gaga. Pretty messed up. People are weird, man. People are weird, but funny. All right. See y'all tomorrow.
See y'all.